We continue to churn it, baby. Good afternoon, all. Big Sills National Football Show. It is a football Friday. We can officially start to say that now, and welcome aboard here. God. You know, just watching football last night was pretty awesome, wasn't it? The game sucked. There was penalties everywhere. Nobody was starting, but still, wasn't it great to see Doug Peterson on the sidelines again? Josh McDaniel on the other side. All the Hall of Famers. Seeing Vermeil last night. I'll get to Dick Vermeil here in a minute. But how great was it to see football? You got the gold jacket ceremony tonight. You got the Hall of Fame inductions on Saturday. What's going to be more of a stat line? How many times Vermeil cries at his induction speech? Or how many times he thanks the city of Philadelphia, right? Hey, man, that's right. Hey, Xander, I watched 4 quarters of football. I watched 4 quarters of the worst football on the planet last night. I'm with Xander. I'm just sitting here watching this thing, even through the rain delay. I'm watching that thing last night. Man, I loved it, man. I love seeing all the Hall of Famers, too. So please hit the like button. Guys, I first and foremost want to start by an article in the Inquirer today. I really, really loved the article in the Inquirer about Darren Dalton. Darren Dalton and I were close boys. He lived in Tampa. Well, actually, he lived in Clearwater. And he dated and then ended up marrying Lynn Austin. Lynn Austin was the very first Hooters girl in the history of that company. And get this, Darren Dalton and I are born on the same day. And I used to always kid them when I went over for dinner when those two were married. And I used to go like this. Oh, I see. So you go from one January 3rd guy to another January 3rd guy. Darren Dalton loved it. Obviously, at the end of his life, he battled with brain cancer, and he was just a super guy, man. And I really enjoyed that story in the Inquirer today. I did. I mean, you talk about one of the great characters of all time in Philadelphia sports history. Darren Dalton was that dude, man. Man, I love that guy. We used to go and hang out. He would take me over. He was the guy that introduced me to Terry Francona when Francona was managing the Phillies. And we'd go over to Clearwater, and we would watch the Phillies play. And I'd sit there with Darren all the time, and we would just have conversations about baseball, his playing days, and how much he revered playing in Philadelphia. Man, God, what a great guy Darren Dalton was. I just absolutely loved the guy. Passed away a couple years ago, and I reached out to Lynn today, his ex-wife, and I sent the story over. She started crying on the phone to me. She's like, Sills, it's beautiful about how the impact that he still has on people when it comes to what he battled at the end of his life. It was really a great story and well done, and I give kudos to the Inquirer for that. Man, that guy was such a great character, man. I still love Darren Dalton, man. What an absolutely great dude, man. Dutch was so revered in that city, man. Philly loved that guy. He maybe is one of the forgotten heroes of that city, but man, I saw that article and I had to read it. I'm like, man, my boy Darren Dalton, man, what a great individual. Just a super individual. Man, I can't wait for this Saturday, too, to see Vermeil go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. By the way, Xander, that dude that was on with Sports Take, the Hall of Fame voter who contributes to JAKIB Sports and writes columns and wrote the Vermeil column for JAKIB Sports, is freaking awesome. He is awesome. I want that guy on. He was great. Intel, his assessment of Jalen Hurts, his assessment of the NFC East, talking about Vermeil, he was spectacular. I thought he was great. I really did. I thought he was just great. He talked about Vermeil and how Coach Vermeil was so tough when he first got to Philadelphia, how he ran those guys into the ground. He chronicled his story. He talked about how Vermeil had to change as a head coach when he got to St. Louis and he was coaching the Rams. I'll give you the Rams story on how he went with Kurt Warner instead of going out in the free agent market. There were people inside that organization. And I think Mike Martz wasn't one of those because I'm friends with Mike Martz, the former offensive coordinator of the Rams for Vermeil. Real quick here, let me tell you the story and how the whole Kurt Warner thing went down. It was crazy, man. Okay? It was crazy. So Trent Green gets hurt in the exhibition season. Every single coach, except I think for Mike Martz, the offensive coordinator, went like this to Dick Vermeil. We got to get a quarterback in here. We have too much talent. Marshall Faulk, Holt, they had Isaac Bruce. They had all these spectacular players. Their defense was great. It was a Super Bowl roster ready to rock. And after Trent Green went down, everyone was like, Dick, we got to go get a quarterback. Let's make a trade. Mike Martz told me the story. He goes like this. They're in a team meeting, and they had to make the decision. Warner had played so well in the exhibition season. But here's the thing. Warner had played well in the exhibition season in Green Bay, too. And you want to hear something? Mariota went to him and said, dude, you're really good. Even Mike Holmgren. But you know what they had in Green Bay? Kurt Warner. They had Ty Detmer, Brett Favre, and Mark Brunell, all in that quarterback room in Green Bay. Kurt Warner had no chance of making that team because there were so many good football players in Green Bay, so they cut him. He goes to the World League, Arena League. He does all this. And he just goes like this. He's sitting in that meeting. Everybody, personnel people goes, hey, Dick, what do you want to do? We'll start making some calls to try to get a trade going to get a quarterback in here. Vermeil goes like this. Now, there's something special about this guy. And they were like, what guy? He goes, Kurt Warner. There's something about this guy. I think he's a winner. We're going to win with Kurt Warner. We're going to win with this guy. I 100% believe it. You go back and you watch that movie Invincible. And he goes to Vince Papale and he goes to Papale, I stuck my neck out for you when no one wanted you here. He learned that lesson in Philly when he went with Kurt Warner. You imagine having a guy in a locker room like that, or your head coach looks you in the face and goes, I'm going to stick my neck out for you. That's coaching. That's belief. That's trust. Man, I'll run through a brick wall for a guy like that. No, we're going to win with you. Kurt Warner puts a Hall of Fame career together just because of that belief and faith. That Dick Vermeil, think of how that could have went in a different direction if the Rams went out with Charlie Army and the general manager at the time, and went out and they ended up getting another quarterback and brought him in because he kind of wanted to hedge his bets. No way, not Vermeil. That's one thing you could say about Dick Vermeil. You could say this about Dick Vermeil, and it probably defines him. Dick Vermeil, man, when he puts his faith in someone, he's all in. He is all in. And he believed in that guy. He trusted that guy, Kurt Warner, and he went with him. I thought of Vince Papale when he goes like this. He gave a guy that didn't even go to college a spot on an NFL football team. He wasn't doing it maybe a little bit at the beginning because he wanted to get the community around the team again, because the community had kind of turned their back on the team because the team had kind of turned their back on the community. And Vermeil, maybe it was at the beginning, but then he started seeing something in the character in the guy. No, this guy's good enough to make my team. I want him on my team. I want guys like that on my team. He probably saw the same thing in Kurt Warner. Nah, we're going to win with him. That's why Dick Vermeil belongs in Canton. That's a coach, man. That's a coach. I can't wait to see the passion that he has on Saturday for his profession. What an absolutely phenomenal moment it's going to be for the NFL to put someone like Dick Vermeil. And you know what? It's not about win percentage when it comes to a coach like that. You know what it's about? Character, belief, trust, all of those things that you think are quirky that people put on a chalkboard. That guy lives by that stuff. That guy coached with those intentions. Takes over a crappy-ass Philadelphia Eagles team, turns them into NFC champions. Takes over a crappy-ass St. Louis Rams team that was going nowhere since they landed in St. Louis, turns them into champions. Goes to Kansas City, continues the great success that the Hunt family had there in Kansas City. No coincidence, Dick Vermeil had great success there too. Think about what he did as a coach and the men he influenced and the people that he's touched in his life. That is a man that's not a bullshit artist. There are so many people that I have had that I've crossed paths with that you know that are great coaches and that you know that aren't great coaches and great people. Vermeil's all of them. Great dude, great coach, hard, driven, and is going to get the very best out of you. That's what a coach is. Not gimmicks, not sayings or shirts. Do you see a little bit of Dick Vermeil and Nick Siriani? Yeah. I think Nick's sincere. I think that's what turned the boat last year for the Eagle team at 2-5 was his sincerity. Sometimes you get coaches that walk into a locker room. We got to do this, man. Yeah, okay, guy. And you still lose the locker room. Siriani goes, what do we have to do here? Okay, we're going to have to be one-dimensional, but we're going to figure it out, right, men? And those guys went, yeah, coach, let's just run the ball, dude. Let's run it down people's throats. Let's punch people in the face every Sunday. And that's what the Eagles did. You know, when the Eagles were 2-5 last year, Nick Siriani challenged that locker room to get into fistfights every Sunday. And that's what they did. And they fought their way to a 9-8 record and an opportunity to get into the postseason. That's a little Dick Vermeil. That's a little Dick Vermeil there, man. Fighting yourself into a position that gives you a chance to succeed. Life's a fight. You know that. And when you got a guy like that, there's a little Dick Vermeil, I think, in Nick Siriani. I do. I think that's how he turned the tide last year. I mean, there's no you can't just put shit on a chalkboard and think people are going to follow it just because you write it on a chalkboard and your title of your job is coach. You got to look people in the face and go, dude, I believe this 100% on how we're going to win. Please follow me. You're not begging, but what you're doing is you have to have blind faith. Men, do you know what blind faith is? How many people in here believe in God? How many people are watching us right now that believe in God? How many people? All of us? I believe in God. I follow the words of Jesus Christ and God. I believe in God 100%. But isn't it blind faith? You believe there's an afterlife. You believe that when you do things in your life, you're doing things so that you can make it to the promised land, to see your maker, and to have your come to Jesus conversation one day with Jesus Christ. But it's blind faith, right? That's what coaching is. It's blind faith. You've got to have a belief in your coaches. You got to have a belief in your process that these coaches are going to take you somewhere that you're not sure, but you know what? You have to have conviction in your life to get you there. Coaching, belief, blind faith, it's what coaching's all about. You've got to be almost like a spiritual leader when you're a coach. Because these guys don't know if you're full of shit or if they can trust you. They have no idea. And when you get guys like Vermeil, you're looking at that process and faith that you have. That to me It's the first sign of a good coach. Make me believe, coach, to follow you first. Then I'll run through a wall for you. Same way Vermeil did it all them years. That, to me, is what coaching is. Blind faith. Getting the followers to follow. You know the difference between, it's funny, I could spot a bullshit artist versus a head coach in 2 seconds. I try to keep the bullshit artists close to me, invest, because you know why? Those could be the most dangerous people in your lives. The people that you can keep at a distance are the people that you trust in your life, actually, because they know they're not going to stab you in the back. Those are the people that you know that have your back at all times, like my wife. My wife's my greatest partner. She's my greatest partner, then my aunt. Absolutely. All about coaching and blind faith. That's what I'm going to wait for to see on Saturday. So I'm looking so forward to that. So, hey, man, I've run into Dick Vermeil numerous times. I'm just a big admirer of Dick Vermeil, man. Okay, I really am. I'm just a gigantic believer in coaches who coach with that style. They drive you hard, but they also love you in the same process. That can happen. All right, let's do this. We're going to go over a couple things here. And by the way, the Big Sales Top 10 Power Rankings are out today. I saw, by the way, USA Today Sports have the Eagles 9th on their list, which means this, they're 4th in the NFC. Geez, Andrew, who said that a couple months ago? All of a sudden, people are starting to subscribe to what I said a few months ago. I said the Eagles were the 4th best team in the NFC, and I still hold to that. Now, USA Today Sports is saying the same thing. I had them ranked 9th. I had them ranked 9th also. Gee, USA Today Sports has the Philadelphia Eagles ranked 9th. I love it. All right. I'm going to ask you a question right out of the gate. By the way, let me tell you our packed show today. At the bottom of the hour, the CEO of the Atlanta Falcons and the chairman of the competition committee, Rich McKay, will join us. Rich is the 3rd most powerful person in the National Football League. By the way, it came down to Rich McKay or Roger Goodell when Paul Tagliabue stepped away from the game as commissioner of the sport. It was either going to be Rich or Goodell. And many people think the guy that is going to be on this show at the bottom of the hour is going to be the next commissioner of the National Football League. I think he is too. And he's my friend, the CEO of the Falcons, Rich McKay, bottom of the hour. A fan's perspective. By the way, Jalen Hurts loves this guy. We may have to go back and forth in hour number 2. Lord Brunson, LB will be with us at 4:30 Eastern time. So we are packed. I appreciate everyone stepping in as we're here. Do me a favor. Once again, please hit the like button. Looking forward to talking to Rich McKay at the bottom of the hour, the CEO of the Falcons and the chairman of the NFL's competition committee. All right. Before we get Rich on, the 2022 Philadelphia Eagle defense will be what this year? Top 5? Top 10? Or decent? Fill in the blank. What will this version of the Jonathan Gannon defense look like by the end of the year? With all the additions, with all the new faces, potentially all the new schemes that we're going to see, how do you think this defense looks and performs, more importantly, by the end of the year? Travis says top 5. Steven says decent. Big pickin'. Top 5 on paper. That's more of a hype comment there, pickin'. has to be top 10 in order to compete, says Brian. Top 10 for sure, says William. Alex, let's go overall. I'll take it from what you just said. I think you're right to say that, not just in rush defense, pass defense, scoring defense. Good call, Alex. You're right to put a definition on it. Overall defense. That's good, Alex. Appreciate that. Yes, overall. Top 10, need more training time. Potentially great, says Mike, but I'll save it till I see it. Lewis Bird Gang says, if we're not top 10, someone's getting their ass fired. If you ask Seth Joyner, Gannon is the problem. If you ask Dan Sileo, Jonathan Gannon is the problem as well. I'm going to say this to you where I think this team lands. I think they're top 10. I think there's just too much depth on this football team, especially on that side of the football, to sit there and think that they – now, look, we saw something happen in Washington last year. I thought that Washington defense last year – now, look, when Chase Young ended up going down, that kind of put a little bit of a wrench in the whole machine there in Washington, but they completely underachieved last year. So we've seen this before. When you add new components to a football team, folks, we've seen this kind of stuff. But I think this has the potential to be a top 10 defense. You see, I'm going to say it one more time. I don't think there's really anybody exceptional on it. But I think you have the deepest roster in the league, especially in the O-line and especially in the D-line. It resembles a little bit of what we saw in 2017. The only difference is going into this year, there's obviously more hype on this team. I think you're better at corner as a group. I think there's been an upgrade. I like Marcus Epps. I think he's going to improve. I think by the end of the year, he's going to be a solid football player. I would say this to you, the most improved part of the football team so far for me has been the linebacking core. I've been pretty impressed with what they're doing. When you watch them go around drills and you hear the people talking and you watch what they're fundamentally doing and you hear the players talking and how well that they're really understanding what Jonathan Gannon has been asking them to do this year versus last year, there is a difference by the linebackers just in conversation when they're talking about what they're doing. I think there's better linebackers this year. Well, how about this? On August 5th, it looks that way. That the linebackers right now look like they're more in tune with what's going on. By the way, I would not be shocked to see Jordan Davis be more of the defensive end. You know, when you run a 4.78 at 348 pounds, I don't think I would have a problem putting him out there on the edge versus just putting him on the nose. Why would I waste 4.78 and a 40-yard dash on a nose guard position? Let's see what this kid can do in space. Could he be a Calais Campbell? I don't know. He may be too big to be out there. Then again, Reggie White was 305. This kid's an athlete. We'll put him in an athletic position. Nose guard's not an athletic position. Okay, it's a slug's position. See what he can do. Put him on the short side of the field. If you have to rotate him, okay. Don't let him have to set the edge on the wide side of the field. Let him set the edge on the short side of the field. But when you run a 4.78 and you got that kind of athleticism and you can run those blocks the way he does, I don't know. Let's experiment a little bit. Let's see what the kid has. I don't necessarily have to just isolate him inside. Why not put him out there a little bit? You see, Jonathan Gannon has a little bit more leeway now to use players and move them around. Sweat, Milton Williams, Graham. You can move these guys, Hassan Reddick. You can move these guys all around now. Brian, I'm more apt to move a guy who runs a 4.78 around than I am a guy who runs a 5 flat and is a nose guard. Like, I'm not running Fletcher Cox around, even in his prime. Guy who runs a 4.78 at 338 pounds. I think I might do that. Let's see what he can do. See what he can do. I think this team has a great chance to be great, this defensive team, for the Eagles. And I'm going to say, I think they have a great chance to be a top 10. I don't know. But when you're a top 5, that means you're an elite pass rushing team. Your turnover ratio is sensational. I mean, let's see what happens out of the gate, okay? By the way, they had practice off today. And by the way, that's a league thing. I found out from the collective bargaining agreement. It's pretty much league-wide. Now, from what I understand, they increased it. I'm going to ask Rich McKay here in a couple minutes. They increased practice time this year more than they have in the past. Okay? I mean, so this year you're seeing more hitting and actually more guys in pad time than you did last year. They've done a lot of little nuances because of the 17th game to try to keep players healthier. That has been a priority. And see, you know, I had Bill Romanowski on yesterday, and Bill was talking about how the 49ers back in the day never practiced in full gear. And, I mean, God, they won 5 Super Bowls during that entire era. He won 2 just when he was there. And they were always the healthiest team at the end of the season. But then again, like I said, when you have Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice, I mean, you know, you got a pretty good football team there, right? So, I mean, you have some of the greatest players in the history of the sport that are on that football team, but they were healthy, and you had a Hall of Fame coach and Roger Craig. So there's more practice time now. I just don't know. I just want to see how they get out. Now, look, Bill said yesterday, hey, man, you know, when you really aren't hitting anybody and you're a football player and you're a defensive-minded guy, you can't wait to knock someone on their ass. He's right. You're supposed to see somebody in a different uniform. I think that's kind of where the mentality in Philadelphia is right now with that defense. These guys are hungry to get on the field and start these controlled scrimmages and also play the Jets next week. So I get it. So I think this football team has a phenomenal chance to be a top 10 team. And by the way, and I'm talking defense here, then we're going to get over to the offense here in a second here. My only concerns are this. Again, you know, when you have so many toys, sometimes you don't know what to play with and you don't know where to put them all in order. And you don't know what the priorities are sometimes. And sometimes you look at it and you start out coaching yourself or out scheming yourself. The most important thing that defensive unit has to accomplish this year, and here are the goals that I'm putting down for the Eagle defense this year. Try to keep people under 24 points. Try to keep people under 305 total yards. Try to limit people to 19 first downs. Don't give up more than 1 plus 25-yard play. You put those together in a modern-day NFL with a passing NFL, with yardage in the NFL, you're going to have success. Flex says this, Gannon coaching for his career. If this D isn't top 5 or 7, he won't have a job in his career again. Could be. There's a lot of guys that are in that position. What you don't want to hear is this. Well, last year was a one-year wonder for Siriani and his staff. Totally what you don't want to see. Not at all what you don't want to see. You don't want to see that. You know, I'll tell you guys something here. I'm fortunate in my time, in my life where I've been able to meet some of the greatest people in my life. And I got to tell you something here. Years ago, I'll never forget this. Jerry Angelo sat me down, and he sat me down when I was getting ready to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And I'll tell you, folks, and I tell folks this all the time. You know why I failed? I failed because I wasn't mentally prepared to be a National Football League player. Rich McKay and Jerry and all them guys and Kruger and them guys in Tampa were right about me. I mean, Ray Perkins drafted Lawrence Taylor. Them guys were right. But playing in the NFL today, it's about being a professional too. And one of the great professionals in the NFL is our friend Rich McKay, who's the CEO of the Atlanta Falcons. And he joins us right now. Rich, I want to show you something right out of the gate. You ready?
Ready.
Look at this. Leroy Selmon.
Yep.
To Dan, best always. What a guy, huh?
Dan, I don't think people realize, first of all, he was a great player. But more importantly, he was an unbelievable human being. I mean, Leroy was just, God almighty, you just never saw him without a smile on his face. And it didn't care if we were in a locker room. I grew up with him, losing 26 games in a row with my dad. It's the hardest time of our lives. And every time my dad had a phrase, he used to say, you ever feel bad, just go stand by Leroy and put a smile on your face. And it was just because that's who he was, just an incredible guy. I'm so jacked he got in the Hall of Fame. It would have been so disappointing if a guy whose career was cut short because of a Pro Bowl game, remember he got hurt in a Pro Bowl, didn't make it, but he did make it, which is fantastic.
I tell people this all the time. Yeah, people don't realize Leroy was like 41-2 at Oklahoma, and you guys had won all those national championships at USC. You go to the Bucs, you start losing it. I remember talking to your dad, and I go, "How did you handle that?" He goes, "Horribly."
He's right. He did. You know what's crazy? I'm fortunate enough in the football world that I've had a million, cool moments. But one of the coolest moments was 16 years old in Tampa, in a van, go to the airport and pick up Leroy and Dewey Selmon to arrive in Tampa for rookie minicamp after we drafted him. It was really cool. I still remember, those guys were – Dewey Selmon is a hell of an individual. And for a guy that didn't have any of Leroy's ability, he was a good football player. So I'm a Selmon fan.
Absolutely. Hey, Rich, before we get into some of the nuances that some of the fans may see this year with the play on the field, your Falcons, how tough was it to let Matt Ryan go and, the relationship that you had, the organization had, Matt had in Atlanta? How difficult was that process to send him to Indianapolis?
Hard. It's hard, Dan, because, I was here when, the franchise was doing pretty well. Everything was in a good place. We had the Michael Vick situation hit us. It just really set us back. And then, in that Michael Vick year, which is the 07 season, I hired Bobby Petrino, something, Dan, that I don't sleep at night. I don't go to bed if I go to bed at 10, I don't fall asleep till midnight. If I go to bed at midnight, I don't fall asleep till 2 because I just can't get over it. That was so hard on our fan base. Here's the guy, Michael Vick, kind of the face of our franchise. We're a good team. We got a chance to be a Super Bowl contender. He's gone. All of a sudden, Bobby Petrino's here. The whole thing is just off the rails and in the ditch. And, here comes this skinny kid from Boston College showing up. You look like you weighed 180 pounds, soaking wet, and just a great football player. Great person, great leader, did so much for the fan base, for our franchise, for our team, and for our community. Sarah and Matt are really good people, good parents, everything you want. But the time was right for the franchise. We have a new coach. We have a new GM. We've obviously made a lot of changes last year. We're making more changes this year. So, at some point it is the right time, and it was the right time, but hard. Yeah, it was hard.
Arthur Smith. Rich, tell me about him. You see a lot of new face NFL head coaches, the Kevin Stefanskis, the Brandon Staley's, the Nick Siriani's in Philadelphia. I mean, there's a new wave of going towards these guys who work closer with front office than, say, the other old school guys that were like this. This is my way. You guys get the personnel. There seems to be more of a collaboration. Is that the intriguing thing about Arthur Smith and today's NFL coaches on what you guys are all looking for today?
Dan, it's so hard when I've interviewed a few and been through a few coach search processes, and you have you draw up a job description, you have a lot of traits you want, you have all these things, but in the end, there has to be a fit, right? And the fit has to start with the coach and the owner, because the owner, is the owner of the football team, and this is their asset. And so I start that way. But for us, for Arthur Blank and myself, what was easy about Arthur Smith was, young, energetic, very smart. Grew up just in a really cool situation, in that he grew up the son of Fred Smith, founder and CEO forever of FedEx. And yet that wasn't who Arthur wanted to be. He wanted to be Arthur Smith, right? He wanted to be a football coach. He started as a GA. He went down the college GA path before he went to pro. I mean, everything you did the hard way, he did the hard way. Never asked for any easy anything. So Arthur stood out because the other thing that was interesting, Dan, is that, as you may remember, we let our coach and our GM go after we were 5 weeks into the season. We were 0-5. So we had plenty of time to set the search up, to do the research. And when we did the research, it was pretty easy to see that Arthur Smith was going to be a candidate, a really good candidate, because everywhere you went back to, whether it was in the Redskins, whether it was the Titans, whether it was in his college days at North Carolina, it was all, hey, this dude's a really hard worker. He's really smart, and he doesn't enter the room with his ego. That's not what comes in first. What comes in first is intellect. And so I'm an Arthur Smith guy. I've been very impressed with what I've seen. He and Terry Fontenot bonded with head coach GM in a good way. So I'm proud to have him leading our franchise. And another thing he does, Dan, that's really good is his work ethic off the charts. And it always helps when you work hard.
Absolutely here. I had a conversation a couple days ago with Mike Vrabel, and I love him. And I was all setting it up to talk to you, Rich. I got to tell you, and what happened with Ryan Tannehill in Miami, I think it kind of like maybe gives another lifeline to some of these quarterbacks that maybe it doesn't work out in one particular position, where back in our day, Rich, when it started, a quarterback didn't work out at that place. You thought this guy was garbage or he was a bust. And look what Tannehill's done in Tennessee. He's 30-13. And I talked to Mike Vrabel about Marcus Mariota, and he goes, let me tell you something. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was take the job away from him, because he's so well revered in our community. He's a great guy. He's first guy in, last guy out. He goes, and he's rooting for him to have success in Atlanta. I'm a fan of him, Rich. I love the kid. Just give me a little bit on how that's working out for him right now.
Well, I think he says it best, right? This is an opportunity to restart his career and a restart as a starter. And he is not, there's nothing he's leaving on the table, Dan. He's working his tail off. He's got a good relationship with Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith was with him, in Tennessee when they made the decision to play Tannehill. And so, that was a hard time for Marcus. And yet when Marcus had a choice of where to go this year, and he had plenty of choices, he picked here. That says something about Marcus and about the way he handled the situation in Tennessee. So he's not his practice habits, to Vrabel's point, to Coach Vrabel's point, his practice habits, his work habits, his leadership, all really, really positive. And I really like where he is in his career, and that he is viewing this as, hey, this is my opportunity to restart. This is it. I'm going to reset right here. So we'll see what he's got. And so far, so good.
Rich, finally on the Falcons here, patience. How hard is it to have that when, I thought the kid that you had there last year, the kid Patterson, the running back, that was a gold mine. The kid Pitts, sorry, he's a Gator, I get it, but I thought he was a stud. I mean, there's pieces I'm seeing that you guys are putting together here, but how hard is that to sit there and have the patience when, look, you want to win, the organization wants to win, Arthur Blank wants to win, the community wants the team to win, it's a centerpiece in your city. How hard is that?
Really hard, because listen, we're not in the business of trying not to do anything other than win football games, period. That's the reason we're in the game of football. And our fans don't wake up every day saying, boy, I hope we're good in 2 years. Man, that would be good. I'd really like to be good in 2 years. Dan, nobody wakes up and says that. You got to deal with the realities of change. And so for us, we knew in changing the coach and the GM that you're going to change schemes. And when you change schemes, all of a sudden players don't fit as well. I mean, you played inside DT. When you change schemes and you go from one gap to two gap, Dan Sileo, that used to be a one gap player, is going to have to hit two gaps. All of a sudden, it's not going to be so good. So, that's happened to us, right? And then that causes a reset with some of the personnel. But I think the one thing is where you feel comfortable, and you hope the fans feel comfortable, is just see the progress, just see the players that are getting added, just see how they fit, and see yourself getting better. We won 7 games last year and really had a chance down the stretch to stay in the mix and the discussion. We're looking forward to this year. I can just assure you of that.
Man, I tell people that all the time. I mean, look, I didn't help myself in Tampa, but when they brought me there and said, let's play nose, I went, what's that? I never played a nose. I go, I mean, I'm a three technique and a one technique guy.
Yeah.
Get up the field and make plays. I don't know. Here, let me get into, Rich, what nuances do you think the fans will notice this year? You're the chairman of the NFL competition committee. What nuances do you think that they'll notice most of all of some of the changes that were made for this year's play?
I hope not a lot. I think the game, Dan, and I brought my competition committee book here in case you were going to ask me stats, but the game is really in a pretty good spot. We measure the game, competition committee wise, I should say. We measure the game, not on popularity, not on television ratings, not on that. We measure the game on, okay, what are the metrics that the fans have cared about for 40 years? They're pretty simple, right? Their yards per game, their passing yards per game, their points per game, their penalties per game, right? They're all those type of metrics, and those metrics for our game right now are really good. They really are, and that has led us to having really good quality football. I think the only big change that we made rule-wise this year, we made a bunch of nuances in the back of the book, just on make sure we're looking at illegal conduct. There's certain penalties that we've got to make sure we're always looking at. But I think that the change in the overtime and the change in the playoffs, they're not going to see it. Hopefully we don't have overtime in the playoff game, although we'd be happy to be in one. That just the idea that both teams will get a possession there, that was a big discussion. Probably the biggest discussion we had this offseason was, okay, what are you going to do with the overtime rules? Our overtime game right now is really pretty good. The quality of the game's good. The results are okay. But in the postseason, it was broken. We had 12 games since we made the rule change. We had 12 games that went into overtime in the postseason. 10 were won by the team that won the coin toss, 2 by the team that lost the coin toss. That just didn't feel fair to us. So that's a substantial change. Otherwise, our game, knock on wood, is pretty good. Now, Dan, what happens in our game, and just so you see why we make so many changes over the years, everybody's like, why do we have so many rule changes? Well, our coaches are really smart, and our athletes keep changing, right? The athlete that you were when you played is a different athlete today. Just a bigger athlete, right? Just a bigger man.
Faster.
And it's bad. So all of those things, that causes us to change the rules. That'll always motivate us, because one thing that defensive players and defensive coaches don't like to hear, but accept, is, remember, when we look at the scales of justice, which is offense and defense, we don't look at them this way. I hate to say it, but we look at them a little that way. And the reason we look at them that way is so do the fans. We don't want a 1-0 soccer game. We don't want a 2-1 soccer game. We have point targets. We want to get to 45 points a game. We don't want to ever go below 40. When we start to creep down, that's when you see us make rule changes. When defensive coaches get creative, invent new defenses. When Pete Carroll left USC, went to Seattle, created the cover 3 in a different way that most people had played it, and just started absolutely slowing people down. Guess what? The rules got modified a little bit. So that's why when we make changes right now, knock on wood, we're in a good place. I don't think they're going to see a game that's much different. One of the things that we have focused on in the last 3 years is, a lot of times we talk about time of game. And so is it 3:05? Is it 3:04? Is it 3:06? Meaning 3 hours and 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. That's a target, but the real target is pace of game. How much lag time are we having? Because the one thing the fan in the stands and at home tells us is, don't have too much dead time. Don't have too many stoppages. And that's why we tried last year to allow the officials to have help in their ear on certain plays. That was not noticeable by you, except I will tell you, it improved our officiating, it lessened the amount of replays, and it quickened the pace of the game. All positives. I think year 2 of that program will be better.
Rich, couple things on the players here that I love that I think goes into the competition of the game here. So now we're going to see where players are going to have the opportunity to go on IR and then go on it twice this year. And to me, is that because of the health of what you're looking at with the players so that you can, give an opportunity for these teams not to have to go onto the open market? And I also want to throw this into it, and I could tag that question on, is that did you ever think about adding another bye week because of the additional 17th game that we're now having? I know you took an exhibition game away, but having the ability to go on IR twice in a year instead of just once, and maybe an additional bye, could that be something that we're looking at down the road?
Let's separate the two, okay? On the going on IR, right? So the old school people, right, like myself, the George Youngs, the Bill Polians, we were all in the committee together, and then I'm still on the committee, but I can still hear George talking to me, and I can hear Bill talking to me. We always were concerned as personnel guys. We were always concerned with this thing called stashing. What stashing was, Dan, is it was a team that what they would do is they would just hide players. So they'd say, hey, Dan, in this last preseason game, just kind of
sniper. Here's the word, sniper.
Yeah. So we always woke up and we got worried about that, right? I don't think we're worried about that anymore. I think what we look at, that's why the practice squad is 16 players. Heck, when we started it was 5. Okay. And Bill was concerned about 5. I mean, we started with 5. So the reason is because we've kind of looked at it as though if you're a team and you've built this ecosystem and you've developed these players, it's okay that we don't have to put everybody subject to waivers. We don't have to put everybody on the street. And then what we figured out is if you put too many people on the street, you don't have this big practice squad, and you don't let people come back from IR, then what happens is week 10, we have 2 injuries in a game. We have to go call and say, hey, Dan, okay, you haven't played since training camp. Are you in good shape? I know what your answer is. I'm great shape, working out every day. Here you come in, you work out, you look good. We sign you. You get hurt, I don't know, 3 plays into the game because you're not ready to play. You haven't played in, 12 weeks. You haven't done anything. But, so I just like the system of IR and the return from IR, because when you get hurt, you were training with us. When you're hurt and you're on IR, you're training with us. Okay. You're staying in shape. Then we bring you back in practice. Then you play. Your chances of getting hurt are much lower than the guy we get on the street. And the quality of your play, much better. You know our scheme. You know what our calls are. You know what our coaches are asking of you. You know the players that are playing around you. So to me, I think the old school way I looked at it before of concern of stashing, I'm not sure we saw that right. I like the fact that now the Falcons developed this group of players and we can retain those players. We now have the right, Dan, under the CBA and our agreement with the union, of our practice squad players, we can move them up to our active and play on game day 3 times during the year freely. And I mean freely only this. We're still going to pay them like they were regular players, right? Not practice squad pay. They get paid regular pay. But the other thing is that we don't have to put them on waivers and subject them to the whole league. So I can activate you on Friday. You can play in the game on Sunday. And on Monday, you revert back to the practice squad. That has, again, helped the quality of our game. So I do think that our partners, the union, has done a good job with getting with us and saying, okay, let's be in the jobs business. Let's make our ecosystem bigger. And then let's think about the fact that those people that we develop within our own system have a lesser chance of getting injured, which means the quality of our game improves.
Rich, 2 last questions here for you. And please help me out on this because, I'm watching the Eagles practice. We kind of cover the Eagles here and, they're off today. They were off the other day. I mean, look, the Ray Perkins 3-a-days. Hey, listen, I get
totally
it.
Different.
Your
Totally
pops 3-a-days.
Totally different.
Please help me out on this here because I looked at what you guys collectively bargained and what I saw what was different this year. You actually have increased more times in pads this year than maybe what you have in the past to be able to give those guys more chances. I mean, Rich, is that just a modern day NFL now where you're just not going to see these massive practices that you and I used to go through back in the day? It's a new NFL, right?
Doesn't even Arthur Smith and I were talking today during a break, and people that played 8 years ago, not 15 years ago, not 12, I'm talking 8 years ago, would not recognize training camp today. It's just different, way better, way safer. There's way more. Dan, the biggest difference for me, competition committee wise, and then, I've had the privilege of being on the working group that negotiates on the CBAs. The biggest difference in dealing with all these issues is we actually have data. We know everything. We know if we put you in this position and we put you too many times in this position, your chance of injury goes up. So you know what? We're going to reduce that. And yet we're going to increase other things. So I just think we're way smarter today with our medicine, our data, and how we're going to use it to try to make football safer. And it doesn't mean that football is not a tough guy sport. It is. But it does mean that we can do a lot of things better. I just know that we used to start training camp for, I don't know, this is probably my 55th training camp. My first camp, I was 6 years old. Going, Mike Garrett was the running back, won a Heisman Trophy. So that's 65. So don't, but that's when I think about that, Dan, think about that every camp I saw from that point forward really started the same, which was within the first 2 days, you went down in the red zone and you found out who the men were. That's what it was. Remember, you went down to red zone, you said, okay, ball on the 2-yard line. Let's see the defense stop them. And we'd go in there and run, I don't know, 15 plays and you go and you think today, we don't do any of that. We don't even do red zone. We used to do it the first day. And then you'd do, I'd go to Florida when Steve Spurrier, who, was not the hardest coach there was. He was, an easier go. He would do Oklahoma drills. Tim Ruskell and I would go just so we could watch Oklahoma. It was crazy what went on. And you know what? It's a prohibited drill now. You're not even allowed to do it. Good for us. Good for us getting out of those days of using camp to prove toughness. That just doesn't make sense. And the data says it's not a good idea. And then I do think the other thing different from when you played and when I got into the league was that training camp was the right definition. That's what we were doing. You were drinking beer in the off season, claiming to be working out, not doing much. And we were training guys. You know what I mean? It was training camp. That's what it was. Well, nowadays, our guys come in. We got 90 guys. Is there a chance that 2 of them are not in great shape? Yes.
Really?
88 of them are really good, like crazy good shape. And so the word training camp really is that's not what this is anymore. This is much more like, getting ready, dress rehearsal reps, as opposed to training these players to get into shape. They're in shape.
Rich, I'll tell you, man. So when I played at Miami with Jimmy, and so those practices were pretty intense, obviously. But so I get up there with Ray Perkins, man. Hey, Pepin Root Stadium to me was like hell. I had never went into a place, and you had these little like air conditioning units that were in your wall. I'm in there with John Cannon. We're sitting in there, and I'm going like, we're gonna have 3-a-days. We're sleeping under a tent. If you remember, Ray would have us. You're sleeping under that tent, and we're doing 3-a-days. I mean, now that I'm hearing you talk about it, you have the intel. You think there's less injuries now today at the start of the season than when it was back when we were going through all those 2-a-days the way they are?
Not even a question.
Huh.
Dan,
okay.
I'm wrong. We have data. We have, and we can. What happens is at the start of the season, the one thing we get at the start of the season that we are going to keep drilling down in is we do get a lot of soft tissue injuries in those first 2 to 3 weeks. And the reason is because you can't simulate game speed in the preseason.
Right.
You don't, the vested vet that's a really good player, he can look like he's really hauling and really giving it everything, but he's going 80%, right? In most practices, 85%. Now all of a sudden, here you are, the lights are on, it's game one, he's going. And guess what? Might be going for 45 plays, full speed. There's no question we get some injuries from that because in preseason, what did he go? 20 one time and maybe not play the other 2 games? So yes, there's some of that. But as far as the serious injury, as far as the knees, as far as the real injuries that will take a season away, I think the numbers are substantially better, no question. And then the other injury that we're always going to pay attention to, Dan, is to be concussions. And our concussions last year, continued to be that 30% down from the peak when we made a lot of changes to the rules and the helmets. And we're not going back to those numbers again. We'll do what we need to do to stay down. And I think preseason numbers are really going to come down over time.
Okay, well, Todd Lewicki told me to tell you to say hi. Okay,
He's a great guy.
He's a dear friend of mine, and I said to Todd, I go, McKay's going to be the next commissioner of the National Football League, and then this is what Lewicki said. Dude, nobody's leaving a gig like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Todd is he's a Mr. Hockey again. He's back to Mr. Hockey. Good for him.
Yeah, great absolutely.
Guy. Great guy.
Super
Todd's
guy. Hey, Rich, have a great year. Have a safe camp with all your guys. Thank you so much for spending so much time. It's going to be do you agree, Rich? This is probably going to be one of the most entertaining years that I can remember. You got the Brady send-off potentially. The great thing about the NFL is, too, because the way you guys set it up from worst to first, I mean, the draft, the schedule, you always look at the lowest teams have to be improved. You never let a team sit in the toilet as long as some of these leagues. The greatest thing about the NFL, in my opinion, Rich, you just don't know who's going to win it. You have your idea, but that's the beautiful thing about the competition.
Competitive balance,
Dan, isn't it?
Competitive balance. The two, there was a phrase when I first got on the competition committee called parity. And a lot of the commentators said, the NFL's got a problem. They got too much parity. Well, you know what? We changed the phrase to competitive balance because it sounds better. It's really the same thing, but it's a great thing. The idea that every team, every fan wakes up and says, my team's got a chance is fantastic. Because in baseball, and there's many challenges in other sports where they can't say that. Ours you can say that, and it's really cool.
Absolutely. Rich, great success to you. Tell Mr. Blank hi. I said hi to everybody there. Thank you so much. I appreciate you doing this, my friend.
Talk to you down the road. See you, bud.
You got it. That is the great Rich McKay, the CEO of the Atlanta Falcons. And boy, man, that was really a great conversation to tell us a little bit about the success of the National Football League and where it's going. And hey, listen, I've got to say this to you guys. Maybe I'm wrong here. And maybe I am sounding too old. Rich McKay has been raised in the National Football League. Okay? He's been raised in it. He understands it. His father coached in it. Rich has been the GM, the president, and now the CEO of the Atlanta Falcons. And I do believe that he'll be the next commissioner one day of the National Football League. And he's saying, look, those days are completely over with, Dan. 3-a-days, 2-a-days. It's a completely different NFL. And I do think it's a different NFL because of what we're seeing a little bit of here with, the OTAs, these mini camps where these players today, back in the day, it used to be where a guy could use training camp to get into shape. Today, these guys, like Rich just said, these guys are all in shape. Okay, you're not going to show up to a Philadelphia Eagle camp fat and out of shape. That's not going to happen. Okay, that's not going to happen. So again, look, I think it's more of a me thing than it is an Eagle thing. I mean, look, the not hitting and the not practicing when it comes to tackling is probably my biggest issue. Okay? That's my issue because I think to be a good tackling defensive football team, you got to practice tackling. That's the number one thing, in my opinion, that I think you have to do. I really do. I think that's important, that you have to have the technique on being able to be a good tackler. Okay? I mean, and when you're not practicing that, I don't know how fundamentally you can be sound when you want to line up against the Lions and say that you're going to be a great tackling football team. Okay, don't forget, hour 2, Lord Brunson will be with us. That'll be at 4:30 Eastern. We're going to take a look at the offense at the top of the hour. But don't forget, my friends at Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free. Listen, folks, if you are hurt or injured on the job, there is no attorney firm out there that will protect you and your family more than Morgan & Morgan. They've collected over $13.5 billion over the past 30 years. And it's not with just this saying here, okay? Hey, but for the people. It's not a slogan. It's who they are. Over 800 attorneys strong in offices in Philadelphia, New York, Florida, all across America. They're the biggest firm, like I said, in the country, and they're ready to do battle for you to defend you and your family's rights. There's no such thing as a fender bender, and they will not be intimidated. Call them 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. Open 24/7, 7 days a week. 800-512-1600. Call us free. Consultations free. When you call Morgan & Morgan, do me a favor. Tell them Dan Sileo sent you.
When choosing a lawyer for your injury case, you may ask, does the size of the law firm matter? Well, of course it does. The insurance company, they're huge with unlimited resources. And whether your case is big or small, they're built to bully you out of the money you're owed. But here's the good news. We're big too, the biggest actually. And we're built to fight to make them pay for all that was taken from you. Size is our strength. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Acton.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit. The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, 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 and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Howard 2 National Football Show. It's your boy Jake Hills. Please hit the like button. Thank you guys so much for coming aboard. That was awesome getting Rich McKay on. Rich doesn't do very many interviews, and we appreciate him taking time out of his day. So he's not only on the competition committee, but he's also on the collective bargaining committee that collectively bargains with the union and the league. And he's the CEO of the Atlanta Falcons. Wow, what an absolutely powerful guy, and we're really privileged to have him on the program. Lord Brunson, fans' perspective, that'll be at the bottom of the hour at 4:30 Eastern. We look forward to talking to our friend. We talked a little bit in the last hour about the defensive side of the football. We're going to talk a little bit about the offensive side of the football. But before I do that, I want to say this about Dak Prescott. You know, as much heat as we give Jalen Hurts, and I mean myself and other media people, I think Dak Prescott's under more pressure. You're the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, dog. And you haven't won anything. Okay? Jalen's fighting for his NFL future. Dak Prescott is fighting for his reputation. Do you want to be, if you're Dak Prescott, do you want to be considered Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or do you want to be considered Kirk Cousins? Like many of you look at Kurt and say, he sucks, even though his numbers don't dictate that. He's a good quarterback. You never look at Kirk Cousins and go, I want my quarterback in the last 60 minutes of the season. If a game all counts on this quarterback carrying me across the goal line, the majority of you are not going to pick Kirk Cousins. That's kind of how I'm starting to feel about Dak Prescott here. Okay? I'm starting to feel that about Dak. Somebody asked me this question this morning, Dan, what do you think of Dak Prescott? I look at Dak Prescott and I look at this and go like, I say this, I go, I think he's a fine player. I think he can throw the ball well. I think he's a great leader. I think if you want to pay a guy a lot of money and you want to put a blueprint together on what a quarterback should look like when it comes to representing your football team, Dak has all the intangibles. But when it comes to actually being an elite guy, dude, you got to win more than one playoff game. You've got to win more than one. And you got, hey, that's okay with the Jets. Regardless of the Dallas Cowboys outside the owner, I think there's more pressure on Dak Prescott. I look at Dak Prescott and I say this, if that dude shits the bed this year and I don't get a chance to see the Dallas Cowboys win the NFC East, I'm not predicting you, but if they don't win the NFC East and I'm paying you $45 million, dude, that's an F. Watch this. We're talking about success for the Eagles this year, winning the East, getting a playoff win. That shows improvement. That ain't good enough for Dak. I'm paying you $45 million, dog. That ain't it. That ain't it, man. You know, Dak's talking about all these young wide receivers he has in Dallas. Dude, you need to win some ball games, bro. And I'm not talking about the regular season ball games. You got to start winning some games in the postseason. For everybody that takes a crap on Aaron Rodgers, he does have a Super Bowl win. He does have 2 straight MVPs and 4 MVPs. I don't know. This dude's got to show up, man. Anthony says that Dak Prescott is more talented than Hurts. Anthony, he is more talented, but he's the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry stroked him a check for $45 per. Bro, step up. That ain't it, man. GT, I say the Cowboys got to at least get to an NFC title game, which they haven't in 27 years. Dak has – what has Dak done? Nothing. Nothing. You're paying him on numbers. Can I tell you what I think the biggest issue is with Jalen Hurts? Not anything to do with what we're seeing today. Okay? Can I tell you what I think the biggest question is on Hurts? What is Jalen's actual ceiling. Because that style is so hard to evaluate. Look, when you're a drop back quarterback, you see what that guy is. He's a 7-step guy. And if he's accurate, you know this. Like when you watch Joe Burrow, you immediately knew that he resembles Brady. Resembles in technique, not resume, not results. He resembles. Use that R. Drop back, 7-step, you're in the pocket, pretty accurate. Brady-ish. Not resume or results. Got to make sure that somehow I keep underlining that because some idiots take 2% of what I say and go, he's comparing him to Brady. Idiotic. But see, when you see Jalen running around, when a play breaks down or he can't find a guy and he kind of breaks your heart, when it comes to getting first downs, you really don't know what that ceiling is. And by the way, he's terrible at moving to his left. That has to improve. I've been saying that all offseason. He's terrible at it. Has he improved throwing the football, moving to his left? He's not very good at it. You don't think a defensive coordinator is not going to see that and game plan that? You don't think Dan Campbell and the Lions know that? That last year he was terrible moving to his left. Look it up. Then again, watch this. You get Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, any of the great elite passers of the past, Peyton Manning, they have a particular spot that they like to get to. Monty Kiffin used to tell me, you know how you get to these guys? Move them around off their spot. There's a comfort spot that they get into when they're back there. Move them around. Make him have to move his feet. What made Peyton Manning so great, remember Peyton Manning would be tapping his feet all the time before he threw the ball? He was always moving his feet. Always moving his feet. Showtime says he works on his arm as ceiling as Russell Wilson. Wow. Russell Wilson could see the entire field and move around and make passes all over the field. Jalen Hurts cannot. He is terrible moving to his left. Okay? Did you see what? Oh my God. Big Dan's comparing the kid to Tom Brady. Exactly what I said that somebody would say. Congratulations, Andrew. You just win the Idiotic of the Day award. Awesome. Exactly what I said someone would do. Take 2% of what I said. I didn't say resemble. I didn't say results. Jesus, criminy guy. You have problems listening. What's up, gaming? Unbelievable. Exactly what I said someone would do. Andrew fell into it. Unbelievable. Oh, my God. He compared. I said, it's the way he throws the ball, Burrow. 7-step. Brady's a 7-step. It's the comparison. Manning's a 7-step. Tannehill's a 7-step. That's what Brady does. Do you not know the difference between a sprint-out quarterback and a drop-back quarterback? Obviously, you don't. Congratulations. You just showed me you don't really know much about different styles of quarterbacking. Holy cow. Andrew, I'm disappointed, dog. Not what I said. I hope if Andrew's sarcastic, I pull it back. Let's get over to the offense. Last hour, we talked about the defense, okay? And I asked you if you thought that the Eagle defense would be a top 5, top 10. Okay, Andrew, I'm the idiot. Okay, I'm the studad. Andrew. I'm the Stunad. Hey, Andrew, let's slide it over to the defense here, or to the offense, excuse me. How good will the Eagle offense be? Top 5? Top 10? Or decent? Tell me. We agreed that we think that the Philadelphia Eagles defense can be a top 10 defense. How about the offense? Last year, your passing game was 27th. Your running game was number 1. Not very good balance. Actually, terrible balance in your offense. Dude, I love you too, Andrew. I'm sorry. Okay? I apologize. Okay? Sills, what is it that Wilson can do that Hurts won't be able to learn to do? He's not accurate like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's an accurate passer. Always has been. NC State, Wisconsin, and the pros. Led the NFL in passing touchdowns. Do you truly see a day when Jalen Hurts leads the NFL in touchdown passes? Do you seriously see that day? That he is the single-season touchdown passing leader when it comes to that quarterback? Do you honestly see that? How about this? How about this? Do you see this Eagle offense overall, because we use that for the defense, overall, okay, being a top 10 offense? I guess maybe what I'm asking you is, do you see the Eagle offense being more balanced this year? Look, guys, I'm going to make this point to you. Guys, I'm going to make the point to you guys. Ready? If the Eagles don't have a balanced offense, they're not winning the East, and they're not going far in the postseason. The reason that they couldn't beat the Buccaneers, or they couldn't do anything to get out of their own way, they were so one-dimensional, it was frightening. You didn't really have to do much of a game plan against the Philadelphia Eagle offense last year if you had an elite passer. Get a lead on them, stick them in the hole, play good defense, and keep Jalen Hurts third and long and make them roll left. That's how they beat the Eagles last year, the good teams. That's how they beat them. That's got to improve. Top 5, top 10, decent. And as you know, I don't believe decent's going to be enough to win. Name says play action can change Hurts' outlook. Absolutely, Name. But the way you change your play action is your short passing game, your screen game, your slot passing game. You know how they really hurt Jalen Hurts last year in the passing attack last year? You're asking that guy to throw 15 to 25-yard passes every play. Your percentages are going to be lower. Their passing game in the backfield, when it came to screens and slot passes, was non-existent. You're never going to have a high completion percentage. Brady is a master at that. This guy's won 7 Super Bowls dinking and dunking. He had to compromise with Bruce Arians because Bruce Arians' philosophy is no risk it, no biscuit. Well, that resulted in a 5,000 passing yard quarterback with Jameis Winston, 30 touchdowns, but 30 picks. Brady goes, we're not having any of that. Remember when the Bucs were 7-5 the Super Bowl year? They get beat by the Bears, and he's like, we got to change this. And they went on a run and won it. They went on a run and won it. Help Jalen Hurts out more. By the way, watch this, guys. If they are passing game and they have 3 and outs with the defense that they've built on the other side, they're going to be able to weather. And I'm going to say this to you. The defense has to help Jalen early. Because if you're going to try to become a balanced offense and try to throw the ball more, there's going to be 3 and outs. You have to win first and second down, man, in my opinion. You have to win first and second down. Last year, how many times were they behind the sticks, 3rd and long? Will a balanced attack be good enough to sign him to a $45 million a year contract if you make the NFC Championship? You know what's funny? GT, thank you very much, by the way. GT, Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl last year. They didn't sign him to a $45 million a year contract. Why would they sign Jalen to that? Matthew Stafford just signed a $39 million a year deal. He just won the Super Bowl. They didn't sign him to a $45 million a year deal. I mean, personally, too, I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to get $45 million. I think what Lamar wants is more guaranteed cash. By the way, when you get 46.1 guaranteed in Cleveland, that's the new benchmark. That's the benchmark for him. See, Jalen's a different style of how you're going to have to pay him. Look, when you have Patrick Mahomes, he's a drop-back quarterback. You can go 10 years with a drop-back quarterback. I think the reason in Baltimore why everyone's sitting around I don't think they're trying to figure out how much money to pay him. I think they're trying to figure out length of contract. That's the issue in Baltimore, in my opinion. All right. Hey, man, I'll tell you what. I gotta tell you, man, I want to bring my boy Lord Brunson in here, man. He is killing it.
So, what's up?
You and Jalen are boys now. What's up with that?
I mean, I'm just showing my support, man. Just showing my support for the QB1. That's all.
Dude, he's showing support for you, too.
He is. I appreciate it.
Hey, how did you guys form that relationship, dog?
So it's not really so much Hurts. It's really AJ Brown. AJ Brown, you know, he reached out to me a couple weeks ago. He wanted a piece of merchandise, the hat that I have on, the Hurts season hat. And I was ecstatic. I'm like, bro, how many you want? You know what I mean? like you're here. You're the wide receiver one. How many you want? So I sent them a box of them. You know, I didn't know he was going to wear it, man, as much as he did, like on camera. So it was just crazy, man. It just that whole last week for me, like the start of training camp, was just next level, man. I ain't gonna even lie. Like from a fandom, like business wise and being a fan, it was just amazing.
Tell me. Give us all a little insight then on what type of guy AJ Brown is, and is he being unfairly labeled by some people in the media, or do you like him? Get some of the nuances about him? Because hey, when you're in Tennessee and you see that moving refrigerator, Derrick Henry, you know that football team's run behind that horse. So give me a little bit here and tell the fans a little bit about AJ Brown.
So, you know, AJ Brown is a really down-to-earth person. You know what I mean? You know, I didn't feel like I was talking to somebody who was, you know, one of the best wide receivers in the league when we spoke briefly. I felt like I was talking to, you know, a 25-year-old young man who's trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And I've been in that place. So I think with me is, you know, I'm very relatable to a lot of those guys. It's almost like, you know, I'm like a big cousin, you know, once you get to talking to me. You know, I got 10 years on him, but I'm just relatable, man. He's super relatable, man. You know, very God-fearing man. Religious guy, humble guy, you know what I mean? I told him, thank you for wearing the hat. And the first thing he told me was, you know, don't thank me, thank God. I was like, hey, I like to hear it, man. I thank you and God, you know? So yeah, he's just a cool guy, man. Very cool guy, man. I can't wait to meet him this season.
Absolutely. So USA Today came out with some rankings, and they had their power rankings. And I think they pretty much had their Eagles right where you and I had them at 9. And the 4th best team in the NFC. I mean, there's a lot of hype on this team right now. Lord, I mean, you know, LB, when you look at all the things that have happened, the number one thing that I love about this Eagle team is that they're going into that Lions game and they're going into training camp and they're going in with no noise compared to what they've gone into for the last couple of years. That's got to be an asset.
Yeah. What do you mean no noise, though?
There's nothing in the locker room when it comes to quarterback controversy. There's no issues with the coach and the GM. The GM and the head coach are all on the same page. To me, when you don't hear any noise, that's a good thing.
I agree, man. Going into this season, being able to just worry about football is very, very important for the young guys on this roster. We got some veterans that been through the noise and that can handle the noise, but you're talking about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. These are some young guys who are still moldable and, very impressionable to what could be coming down the pipe. So going into this thing clear-headed with a lot of smiles, everybody's healthy right now. Knock on wood, it's the best case scenario for this young roster.
So what do you make of some of the conversation when it comes to that Jalen didn't have a good practice? The other day he had a great one. The other day had a not so good one. Where are you with this? Does it matter to you?
No, it doesn't matter to me because that just lets me know that, he's trying to figure it out. It's a really good defense, Dan. A lot of people not taking that into consideration. So we can say Hurts had a bad practice, but on the other side of the coin, tell me how good the defense was. What did the defense do to make him have such a bad practice if the practice was that bad? Every quarterback in the National Football League is missing throws during training camp. It happens. But this defense is making them work and making them earn it, in practice. And I think it'll be a lot easier for them once the regular season starts. So I'm not, I'm not buying any stock in the bad practice stuff. Like Trayvon Diggs was just getting burnt up and down the field by a wide receiver I'd never heard of. I'm not going to take any stock into that. It's practice. It happens.
This is what I said about Nakobe Dean because I heard Barrett talking about how he's kind of struggling a little bit when it comes to fits and him being on the field. And I said this, LB, I go, dude, that's normal. When you go from one system to another system and you're playing and you go from being a leader on the college level like you were at Georgia and you're coming into an NFL level, and like you just said, the linebacking core has been upgraded. They're better this year. That's got to be one of the more improved positions on the defense has been the group of the linebacker play. This Kaiser White, I don't hear shit about this kid, and that's a great thing because that means he's doing his job and they really love what he's doing. So he's going to find his place. And to me, it's going to be up to the coaching to bring him along. I say he's more of an impact by the end of the year than he is at the beginning of the year. Or do you see him potentially being one of those rotation guys at the beginning of the year?
I agree, man. I think it's going to happen somewhere towards the middle of the year once he really understands where he's at, because this isn't college, man. And a lot of people not talking about TJ Edwards enough, Dan. TJ Edwards is getting better every year. He's having a phenomenal camp as well. And Kaiser White is just, if you look at the tape of Kaiser White, you could say that we got him for a steal. You know what I mean? Kaiser White is a really, really good linebacker. And then you also have Hassan Reddick, who's able to play, in some coverage situations on the edge as well. I just honestly, I'm a huge Nakobe Dean fan, but I'd be shocked if he could beat any of those guys out for meaningful playing minutes this early. We went from having the worst linebacking room to possibly having the best linebacking room in the division. I know a lot of Dallas fans are going to say, well, how do you guys have the best linebacker room? We got Micah Parsons. That's one guy. As a collective group, I think the Philadelphia Eagles have closed the gap tremendously in this division in terms of linebacker play go.
How about this too, LB? I think you bring a great point up here. When I look at the Eagle team, I mean, look, obviously Lane, Mulata, Kelsey, Slay. Top three guys, though, in the sport, I don't think the Eagles have it. However, what I do think they have is the best roster in the sport. Them and the Bills could have the deepest roster, NFC, AFC, in the NFL, and that traditionally is what wins, and that's what traditionally that carries you far is the war of attrition. They're not going to fall off a cliff if they lose a tackle, offensive tackle, or even a defensive tackle because they're so deep on both sides of the ball. That may just be good enough to get them across the finish line and into a conference championship game. You agree?
I agree, as long as it's not a lot of damage taken to the offensive line. The last, shaky practice Jalen Hurts had, we got to remember we had two starting offensive linemen out with concussions. And the offense, everybody was dropping passes. Balls were behind people. He was having to relieve the pocket earlier than usual. So I think the offensive line is definitely more important. And when you talk about having top three guys, that's cool if you can have one or two top three guys. but the Philadelphia Eagles have, I want to say, like 5 top 10 guys.
Yeah.
And that makes your roster really, really good. We got 5 top 10 guys at their respective positions. And I think that helps a lot with, helping bring some of these younger guys along. Because, still sharp and still, we've been saying that all offseason. You know what I mean? Going up against Slay and Bradbury is really helping Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. I don't think A.J. Brown had to go against 2 great corners like this, you know what I mean, his 25 years, you know what I mean, especially at this level. So it's helping everybody having great guys, a part of this roster.
I said this about the Eagle O-line. I think they got 7 guys that could start anywhere in the National Football League in that O-line. I mean, look at the New York Giants. They may not have 3 guys, and they got 7 in Philadelphia. To me, the strength of that football team, they can go over the other side of the ball there too. I mean, this resembles a lot, maybe outside of the coaching, it resembles a lot of the 2017 team. Couple more questions here for you. I want to ask you the question that we threw out to everybody else here. Okay, how good will the Eagles defense be in 2022? Top 5, top 10, or just decent in your opinion?
I got to say top 10 or higher. You know what I mean? I got to say top 10 or higher. I think this defense is going to be really, really good. It's not going to be a surprise to me. Like how bad can you be with the amount of talent that we acquired this offseason? If this defense is not top 10, you have to make a change at defensive coordinator, because this is literally a dream come true for any defensive coordinator in the National Football League. If you go to a 3-4 defense, you have so many stars on the field. First of all, Jordan Davis is looking impressive. So that's just, that just lets you know that we're going to be able to get some pressure up the middle. When you combine Jordan Davis with Fletcher Cox or Javon Hargrave, whatever combination you want to throw out there, you're going to get meaningful pressure up the middle. Now, when you get meaningful pressure up the middle, quarterbacks have to hurry up and throw the ball. Who you throwing the ball to, Bradbury or Slay? It's just you have to be good. So it's a lot on the coaches to get this defense there, but the talent is there to be a top 10 defense for sure, or higher.
I'll tell you something else too here, LB. On 3rd and long, I wouldn't be against putting Jordan Davis on a tackle and lining him up in a defensive end position. I'll tell you why. When you run a 4.78 at 339 pounds and you're as athletic as him, I mean, look, maybe you put him on the short side of the field and not have him have the open side of the field and have him set the edge, and you put him in a position to be successful. I don't know if I want to put 4.78 on a nose. I may want to put that guy on an end. Let's see what that guy can do out there, because, as you said, he is as athletic of a defensive football player that have come out of college in a long time. His shuttle drills were exceptional. His 40-yard dash was exceptional. This isn't Vince Wilfork, so to speak. Vince ran a 5-flat 40 when he was at Miami. This guy's running 4.78 at 6'6", 6'6.5", 338 pounds. Dude, I may put this guy on the edge here and see if he can turn himself into a Calais Campbell. What I'm saying here, I guess, is Jonathan Gannon has the tools to experiment a little bit.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And you have to. You have to have a package for 3-4. You have to have a 4-3 package. You have to have a goal line package. You have to have a short yardage package. Like, he has to really dive deep into all of his defensive coordinator knowledge and have a package to stop any offense in the National Football League, because you have the personnel to do so. If Bill Belichick had a defense like this, the Patriots would probably go to the AFC Championship with Mac Jones. You know what I mean? Like you got to get this defense hungry and motivated. And I think that the coaches don't have to do that with the guys we got. Like, you don't need to motivate Hassan Reddick. This is a guy that just had 11 sacks or 10 sacks or whatever for the Panthers. He was motivated playing for the Panthers. You don't have to motivate James Bradbury. He just came from New York. They haven't been 500 in 5 years. You know what I mean? Slay just ready to play. Marcus Epps got a chip on his shoulder. So it's not much motivation needed. It's just all about getting out there and making it fit together at this point.
Last question for you here. How good can the Eagle offense be? Top 5, top 10, decent. Last year, by the way, number 1 in rushing, 27th in passing.
I'm not going to say top 5. They would have to show me an amazing leap in the passing game if you're talking about top 5. Like, a top 5 offense can do everything. You know what I mean? You have running backs that could catch. You have running backs that could move. I'm going to say decent, because if this defense is top 10,
does that mean top 15? Is that like top 15 for you?
Yeah. We can go between 10 to 15. I'll say we'll be in that range as far as offense goes. If your offense can upgrade to decent and your defense can be top 10, you win this division easily.
See, to me, LB, it was so unbalanced last year, and they won because of unbalanced play. And they had to do that because their passing game, or for whatever reason, the lack of talent at wide receiver, or what have you there outside of Devontae, it just was so unbalanced. You think those numbers get more in line this year?
Oh yeah, you got to pass the ball more. You got to throw the ball more. You got to put fear in the hearts of these defenses. You have to. This is the one thing I think you have to do on the offensive end with the Philadelphia Eagles. You have to establish a dominant screen game with the running backs. We haven't seen much of that, but we're in a position right now to where we have to give Miles Sanders, who might be the weakest pass catcher out of our backfield, we have to give him the ball. Like, if we don't give him the ball, we're going to be in for. We could have a diva moment on our hands. So we got to feed him. We really could, because he has a huge chip on the shoulder as well. Nobody's disputing how hard Miles Sanders runs. It's just the catching for me. So if we give Jalen Hurts a consistent outlet out the backfield, we'll be good, and we'll take a next step forward in the passing game. Kenneth Gainwell was like a crazy stat. I think I told you this before. Every time Kenneth Gainwell touched the ball, I think like 40% of the time, it's either a touchdown or a first down. Miles Sanders got to get that productive. You know what I mean? Finally,
does Jalen Reagor make the 53-man roster in September?
It's so tough. I mean, he's had a good couple of days.
You know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing that he's had a pretty decent camp.
Yeah. He's had a good couple of days, and he's also going against those guys. I think he has to. He has to make the roster, man. If he doesn't make the roster, who's it going to be?
No, I agree, and I think I think they're going to be limited there too. I think they're going to keep more linebackers this year because you can utilize those linebackers, and because of the addition of Nakobe Dean, I think you're going to use them in special teams. I think they're only going to keep 5 wide receivers this year, in my opinion.
I think so too. This is another thing I was thinking about. I think you got to kind of experiment with Jalen Reagor, in my opinion, if you want to extend his stay in the National Football League. I looked at a lot of tape on Ty Montgomery. Now, he can't tackle like Ty Montgomery, but Ty Montgomery can catch and run a ball. I'm kind of interested in seeing what Jalen Reagor can do at the running back position. I think he's like a key candidate for one of those wide receivers to kind of be converted to a wide back.
So you like jet sweeps they do with Deebo Samuel and stuff like that?
Right. Once he has the ball in his hand, he has the vision. I think it's more of the route running and forgetting where he is. But I think it's some potential there for him to be a ball carrier for the Philadelphia Eagles. With that, behind that offensive line, I think it could work.
Hey, man, you're killing it, man, and I'm very proud of you, man. You keep up.
I appreciate you, Dan.
Man, and I mean, you're killing it there, man. You and my boy Philly 500. I love you guys, man. You guys are wonderful, and keep working at your craft. You guys are getting better and better each and every single week. I appreciate you coming and doing this and finding time for me, man. And way to make a name for yourself. Way to go, LB.
Thank you, man. That means a lot coming from you, Sil.
Got it, man. I think you're doing great. Thank you so much, LB. Continue the success there, man. Love that guy. I love to see people getting ahead when it comes to broadcasting there too. It's awesome. Hey, do me a favor, my friends. Please hit the like button. Don't forget, my friends at Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free, meaning this. If you're hurt or injured on the job, know this. Finding an attorney, if you've been hurt or injured on the job, is one of the most important things that you could possibly do for you and your family. That's right. Hey, the slogan that some people think is just a slogan for the people, it's not. It's who they are. For the past 30 years, they've collected over $13.5 billion. You heard it right, with a B. For their clients. No such thing as a fender bender or a small case at Morgan & Morgan. 800 attorneys and offices in Philadelphia, New York, and in Florida, my friends. You're going with the top attorney firm in the country and the biggest. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. The call is free. The consultation's free. 800-512-1600. And when you call them, do me a favor, tell them Dan Sileo sent you.
Many times when people are injured at a place of business, they don't realize they may have a case. The fact is, injuries should not happen. And most of the time when someone is injured, someone is at fault. Maybe the store manager installed a cheap, slippery floor, or there wasn't proper security. After an injury at a hotel, restaurant, store, or any place of business, it's so important to call us. Time matters, size matters. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Acton News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit. Glasses for cocktails, right?
It's for this, this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Okay, but is the rip...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Jalen Hurts, 37 touchdown passes. Holy cow, man. I'll wear a golden thong if he throws for 37 touchdowns. Are you out of your mind, man? Yeah, by the way, you can quote that if you want. 37 touchdowns. That means he leads the NFL in passing TDs this year. He's going to go from 16 to 37. I'll wear Jason Giambi's thong. Used. Oh my God, man. Holy cow, man. Oh, by the way, man, I don't know what's happening in Philly, but Daniel Murphy from the Inquirer wrote an article. Here, and I'm going to paraphrase this. Are you ready? Jalen Hurts' poor practice performance worries the Eagles on a regression in 2022. What? That's the headline in the Inquirer? That's the headline in the Inquirer? Danko Sills. Hey, that's okay. Smart minds and filthy minds think alike, Dank. I don't know if it's smart minds. It may be filthy minds. So Daniel Murphy's now questioning whether or not Jalen Hurts is practicing well. Look, I'm going to tell you guys one more time. Practicing time, you're going to gauge a guy on how well he plays. In practice, this guy is under a lot of heat, man. So if this guy doesn't look good in practice, you guys think he sucks? Even I don't think that. Even I would never say. I wouldn't. So you can't. Doesn't the Philly writers have anything better to do than to cover a practice stat and whether or not the quarterback is? I mean, do you honestly think you can read tea leaves from a guy throwing in drills? Really? You think you can do that? Man. Then again, man, I don't know. I have to somehow gather myself here and get over this practice issue. Rich McKay was on with us in the first hour. The CEO of the Falcons was saying, hey, Sills, it's a different NFL. And I'm still trying to dissect that. Okay? Joseph, I am not going to gauge Jalen Hurts' 2022 season on a couple flutter passes in practice. That's idiotic. Who in their right mind would say that? Now, maybe what you're trying to do, hey, wait a minute, I got to think like Xander. Hey, Sills, does it get clicks? Yeah. Oh, Jalen Hurts struggled in practice. Now I'm getting it. I got it. Xander, I have to think like Xander now. Okay, I have to write sensational headlines. Now I get it. Okay. Jalen Hurts sucks because he had a bad practice yesterday. Film at 6. Hey, go to JAKIB Media to watch Jalen suck in practice. No, he's right, though. Sills. Media people are different today. So is practice time. Jalen Hurts and what he does in a controlled scrimmage, maybe a little bit. If he doesn't look good in a controlled scrimmage, maybe, yeah, maybe, okay. But throwing around in helmets and shorts, I'm not going to sit here and gauge the kid. Okay, I'm not. You know, again, I think the real true story about Hurts. Here, watch this. When you are talking about a guy like, what do you think the ceiling is for Joe Burrow? What do you think the ceiling is for a guy like Joe Burrow? I want to see how smart some of you are. Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Let's just use those two. How about this? Who has a better chance to win a Super Bowl? Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, or Jalen Hurts? You know what? I'm going to take Burrow out of that because he's already gone to a Super Bowl. Why don't we do this? Who has a better chance to win a Super Bowl? Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Jalen Hurts? Of those four, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, who wins the Super Bowl out of those four guys? Hurts. I love your passion. GT Hurts. All four are good. So you put Jalen Hurts, I put him in here. It's my issue. I did. So Jalen Hurts, who wins the Super Bowl first out of those four? Josh Allen. Josh, 3 have a chance. Oh, man. Hurts. Don't compare Hurts to them, please. No, I didn't compare. I asked you who you thought would win a Super Bowl out of these four. I love Lamar Jackson. I love Lamar Jackson, man. I don't understand how you can be unfair to a quarterback that has only started one legitimate year as a starting quarterback. You mean like Joe Burrow? Am I being unfair to Joe Burrow? Am I being unfair to him? Well, Tom Brady had 1 year starting and he won a Super Bowl. Dan Marino started 1 year and went to a Super Bowl. Let's see. Who else? Peyton Manning, that's third year. Mahomes was an MVP in his first year. Good point. I mean, these quarterbacks that are coming out of college today, they're not these 5-year guys where you look down the road in 5 years. These guys are excelling right away. And you're seeing if they're not good enough right away. Dude, Sam Darnold, he stunk. You knew it. You saw it. You were like, that guy's not it. Baker Mayfield, they tolerated it. And to Baker Mayfield's credit, he did take an 0-16 team over. You know, you could say all you want about Baker. He's not elite. I get that, and he probably shouldn't have been the number one player taken overall. But he did take an 0-16 team over and change the culture in Cleveland. Okay? Hurts would beat the brakes off of Joe Burrow this year if they played. Philly Eagle, I got to do this again. 848. Hurts would beat the brakes off of Joe Burrow this year if they played. You mean with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon and Joe Burrow and that revamped O-line? Joe Burrow would throw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns against the Eagles. Remember when they played each other in college? Oh, Xander! What happened? OU. Was that OU LSU? Was that OU LSU when he beat the snot bubbles out of him? Don't tell me that was. Did Burrow beat that Oklahoma team? Did they beat that Oklahoma team in the submission? 63-8. Ow! Ooh. Holy cow, I fell on something. Man, hang on, my tailbone hurts. Look out. Burrow put 63 points on that OU team. Good night, over. Burrow threw for 7 touchdowns and 497 yards. Oh, man. Hey, wait, was Justin Jefferson? Hurts had 217 and an INT. That's my boy Ed Ogeron putting his defensive guys on him. Holy cow, man. Burrow had 7 touchdowns against the greatness of Lincoln Riley. Oh, my God. I forgot. Hey, was Justin Jefferson on that LSU team? Holy shizo, man. Booza. No, I'm not shit. I'm shitting on OU. Jefferson had 4 touchdowns? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Holy shit. Wait a minute. Xander goes, he had 14 catches, 227, and 4 touchdowns. Oh, my God. Yeah, you're right. Well, hey, man, if I was Jalen, I'd want another crack at him, too, after that. I got my ass kicked on national television like that. Woo, dog. Holy cow, I still got spanking marks on my ass from that one. You're a hater. No, I'm just, dude, hold on. Look at what all around auto service guy's saying here. He's saying it's hating. Hating 7 touchdowns, 497, and the receiver had 14 catches for 4 TDs and 227. And I got a dude saying Jalen would run Burrow off the field. And Burrow's got just the same kind of offensive personnel in Cincinnati now that he had when he was at LSU. Nothing's changed. He's still the same guy. Can you imagine this on Joe Burrow? So Joe Burrow, inside of 3 years, has won a national title, has won the Heisman, won an AFC championship, and was a quarter and a half away from winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, you're right. Hurts and Burrow are close. Hey, wait a minute here. Know this. It's Cincinnati. We're not talking about the Patriots here. It's Cincinnati. They suck out loud every year. You're always highlighting bad games. I didn't highlight it. Look at this guy. This guy thought I brought that up. I didn't bring that up. I had a guy tell me that Hurts was going to run circles around. I didn't bring that game up. I didn't even know the stats in the game. Said blame Xander. Turned into Dan talking shit as you. How did you brought this on? Hey, know this. When you say something, you better have receipts or it will be turned on. Hey, hey, I'm going to help you guys out on something here. When you talk shit, you better have receipts. And get this, you can't just keep going back to hating. I didn't bring it up. You did. Joe Burrow, 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. Yeah, you're right. Hey, Dan, who would you put your money on to have a better season, Josh Daniels or Nick Sirianni? You mean Josh McDaniels in Los Angeles? Or, excuse me, in Las Vegas? They looked awful organized last night, didn't they? They looked pretty good last night. Burrow's going to lose 2 of his first 5 games. He could be right there. Have you seen that schedule? He could be right there. He could be. Luscious. Hurts will win the MVP this year, bro. Just accept it. It's happening. Okay. Oh, my God. Hurts can improve. His book isn't written. This is great. Oh, my God, man. Look at this. The NFL's in good hands with these quarterbacks. They sure are picking. Why are you comparing a polished passer to one that isn't fully developed? Joe Burrow, this is going on his 3rd year, really his 2nd year. He missed the 2nd year, second half of it with an injury. You're making it sound like Burrow's played 10 years. Polished? It's Cincinnati. I think McDaniel, hey, the only reason that I think Sirianni may have a better year, dude, he's in the AFC West, Josh McDaniel. You could finish 4th in that division and maybe win 11, 12 games. Okay, I mean, dude, you got the Chargers, you got the Broncos. Look at the quarterbacks in the AFC West. So I'm going to say Sirianni probably has a better year. Just because the Eagles' schedule is nothing near what you're going to have to play. You got to play all them teams twice in the AFC West? I don't know, man. Shit, you know what? You could actually probably be 10-7 and be one of the better teams in the NFL and finish last in the AFC West. Joe Burrow had T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. Doesn't that mean anything? Now, what happened to the guys that when those guys were there? And it's Cincinnati. It's Cincinnati. I mean, the Jets are worse. I get it. But then it's Cincinnati. You guys are making it sound like, hey, this Bengals, they got a franchise that's, dude, it's Cincinnati. What was Cincinnati's record before? Hey, will somebody do me a favor, please? What was Cincinnati's record before Joe Burrow showed up? Joe Burrow played 6 years in college. Yeah, and Jalen Hurts got beat out by a freshman at Alabama. How does the SEC Player of the Year get his ass beat out? He got beat out. He was beat out by Tua. Had to transfer because he lost his gig. Okay. At least when Joe Burrow lost his gig to Justin Fields and Dwayne Haskins, he did go on and win a national title and a Heisman. I mean, I'm just saying. Give Hurts the same energy. He has only played 1 full season. Yeah, so did Patrick Mahomes, but it's all good. Yeah, Steele's name Hurts as wide receivers last You already named Burrow's wide receivers last game. Why did you draft Devontae Smith? I told you drafted the wrong dude. Devontae Smith is on the Packers. He's 1,500 yards. Sills, if you were an elite quarterback looking for a new team, would you consider the Eagles? Absolutely, Jesse. Oh, my God, yeah. Are you kidding me? Eagles got a fabulous roster. If I'm a quarterback that doesn't like where I'm at, wink, wink, Joe Burrow, and you gave me this roster here, I'd like to have another back. I don't like Miles Sanders. Jeff, great interview with Rich McKay, Dan. Great questions, great answers, good info from the source, only from Big Sil's National Football Show. That's really cool. Thank you very much. I can promise you this, Jeff. You don't catch Rich McKay doing a lot of interviews. He doesn't. Okay, he doesn't trust a lot of people. Okay, and I think he's going to be the next commissioner of the National Football League down the line. I love Miles Sanders if he could stay healthy. Daz, I think Miles Sanders is exceptionally talented, but I'm with you. Health, and he can't catch the football. Okay. He's not very good in the screen game, and that kid needs the screen game. Shit, Tom Brady needs the screen game. All right, hour 3. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button here on a Football Friday. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Atkins.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit. The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, 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 and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rib...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Hour 3, National Football Show. It's your boy Big Sills, and I got to say this to you. I'm not going to make any excuses up on why I did not last long in the NFL, even though I was what in today's terms would be a second-round draft choice. in today's NFL, 56 player taken. I'm not going to make – I did a lot of the undoing. But to hear the former general manager – Xander, I know you heard it. But to hear the former general manager of the team at the time, Rich McKay, admit when they brought me in, bringing a one gap guy in to two gap like yourself was not the best thing in the world, was it? And when I heard Rich say that, I can't believe he remembered after all these years. He used to go and battle with the coaches going, why are you playing him at nose? He's a three technique defensive tackle. He's a one gap guy, up the field, penetration, get in the backfield, make plays. I ran a 4.8 at 288 pounds. Back then, that was heavy. I was like 290, and I ran 4.8s. Jerome was the guy next to me. He ran 4.8s. And you're putting me as a slow. That's why I'm going to get to why I'm making this point here, because of Jordan Davis as well. I really love the fact that the former general manager, who's now the CEO of the Falcons and chairman of the NFL Competition Committee, said that today. I never heard Rich say that. He basically admitted they made a mistake how they used me. And it happens in so many places. That's why I'm telling you guys about coaching. How important it is for Jalen to have Nick Siriani and the offensive coaching staff make sure they're giving him the very best coaching that they possibly can. And also to make sure that these defensive guys are getting the very best coaching that they possibly can get. Because, man, if you have a shitty coach putting you in positions to fail, bro, that's exactly how the whole thing unravels. Damn. It's an honor to hear Rich say that. Nobody from that Buck organization ever admitted it, but they didn't use me right. And I have to thank him so much for making that comment. Brian says, hey, Dan, you do have the best show on the internet. You interact with the Eagles faithful. They give me a ton of crap, though, but I love it. Here's Flex. Howie can afford to go all in on a quarterback in the 23 draft. If Hurts flops, the offense is already made for a top-flight guy. It really is. Flex, the team, like John McMullen's been saying this for the last couple months, that he believes that this football team has been made for someone else. Xander and I love this guy. Thank you, Joseph. Really cool of you to do that. Sills, you are an awesome player. Show sucks, though. Keep up the good work. Hey, Xander. These Philly dudes, man. These football fans and Philly dudes, man. You guys are out of your mind. And fun. And a lot of fun, man. Hey, man. Hey, all around auto service. Dude. He and I just got through bitching that. Dude. All around auto service and sales guy. Dude, I love you, man. You know what? You remind me so much of my boys back east, giving each other a ton of shit. And we just have a bunch of fun going. Dude, you know what it also reminds me of? An NFL. This reminds me, I'll tell you guys something. This reminds me of an NFL locker room. We just talk shit to one another all day long. And, we welcome some in, some we don't. Some don't get it, some do. It's really cool, man. It really is. It's very cool. I love it. Hey, just so you know, my aunt goes, God, these guys are really tough on you, man. These guys really. Hey, by the way, I got the Big Sales top 10 power rankings. I saw, I took it from USA Today. I got a different top 10. So, hey, man. Hey, all around auto service. Don't go soft on us, though. Hey, Hey, dude, don't go soft because you know what happens? Because Xander does this too. Yes, okay, good. What do you want me to do, guy? Here's Xander. So he goes, what do you want me to tell you? It was a good show? Jesus criminy. Do you really need to be stroked like that? Good night. What the hell's wrong with you, guy? What are you? Seriously. I can buy you a purse if you want. I'm like, Jesus criminy. Oh, man. It's funny. He calls me Mr. Sensitive. Hey, man. Too, brother. It's all good, man. Hey, but that's it, man. Get this. The coolest thing about my locker room at the University of Miami was, guys, and get this. See, I'm going to tell you guys a secret and promise me, swear to God, you guys won't say this to anybody else. Okay? You guys can talk shit on me. But don't ever let anybody else talk shit on me. Okay? Don't. Because that was our team. Our teammates could talk shit on one another, but if you start talking shit on some of the guys in the room, I'd be like this. Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. I go to 4 to 6 home games a year. I have to admit, they scheme the wide receivers open for Hurts, but doesn't hit them. It's different when you're there. Yeah, and Flex, here's the deal. I think the coaches have to figure out ways that Jalen sees them open more. Help him. And you help get that short screen game going. Lift your game, Sills. I'm doing my best. Hey, big secret. Thanks, Steve. I think help him more, man. I didn't really think that was a very good offensive approach last year. I mean, what was it? Gainwell had 30 catches or something like that? That's really low, man. Okay? Dan Sileo inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame. Fans. Oh, man. Fans. I'm going to give you my top 10 here in a minute, okay? As I said in hour number 1, I can't wait to see Dick Vermeil getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. To speak on Saturday, by the way. Brian, awesome, man. Thank you so much. I wish they would, do you guys like the fact that they moved the Hall of Fame game and first they have the Hall of Fame game and then they have the induction? I think tonight is the gold jacket ceremony. I think Vermeil and all them guys get their gold jackets tonight. Yeah, they got to get play action going, bro. Okay? They got to get play action going. Here, I'll tell you what. Against the Lions, man, they got it. Hey, run against them. Run the ball against them. Just run the ball. Don't come out of who you are right away. And if they start stopping it, okay, then you've got to start going to, dude, just tell Jalen, throw the ball. So what? Your defense is improved. So what if you have a couple 3-and-outs? Be patient. I don't know Siriani and the offensive coaches are going to be patient enough with AJ Green out, or AJ Green. I don't know why I keep saying AJ Brown. I don't know if they're going to be patient because he is, he's enticing to try to get the ball to. He is really enticing to try to get the ball to. Right? Who cares? Football's back. Dude, I watched 4 quarters of absolutely horrible football last night. Even with the rain delay, I know, man. Andrew says, Dan, you and I know that Hurts not seeing open receivers has been Jalen's problem since day 1 at Alabama. Just ask Saban. Andrew, that is such a problem, though. That means, because to me, that comes to processing the information. How can you work on your accuracy when you don't know where to throw the ball? You feel me? If you drop back and you're not knowing where to go with the ball, how can you be accurate? You see, that's what Brady has. Brady's, and by the way, when I say that, I am in no way saying that Jalen Hurts is not an intellect and he's not smart. Please don't go down that line. That's not what I'm saying. I think for what he did, learning the Bama system and then learning Lincoln Riley's system, learning Doug Peterson's system and then learning Siriani's system, you got to be awful intelligent to understand it. That is really hard to do. But I'm talking processing it. Brady knows where to go with the ball 80% of the time when he lines up at the line of scrimmage. Okay? And get this. I'll tell you something that I think he does. I'll give you a great tip that I was given by Deacon Jones. I was in college, and Jimmy Johnson. Do you guys know who Deacon Jones is? See what Flex wrote here. Flex, I appreciate it, man. How he did it smart. Denver had already made team just no quarterback. Oh, okay. That's a good comparison, Flex. That's a really good comparison. That's a really good comparison. You're right. They had Drew Lock up there, Flex. Right? They had Drew Lock, no quarterback, right? Seals, you need a strong drink tonight. Dude, Coronas are all I go with. Yeah, my daughter's got a couple of those really weirdo drinks from her party from last week. They give me agita, and, they're not good for me, too. They kind of upset my stomach, because they got too much dye in it. And things happen to Big Sills, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's not good, I'm there, so I like to keep it simple. So you guys know who Deacon is. Deacon Jones told me something years ago, and he came down, and Jimmy had him talking to us. And Jimmy said, Deacon, give these guys some advice. So Deacon Jones goes like this to me. Practice your first 3 pass rush moves that you're going to use versus this opponent all through the week. Pick and find his weakness. That takes great study film. So you're forced to watch film on what a guy does. He's got a weak inside step. You can get around him on the inside. You can get around him on the outside. A spin move works great on him. And Deacon used to go like this. It takes a lot of study work, but practice your first 3 pass rush moves and do that. Sure enough, man, I start practicing my first 3 pass rush moves, and it was such a major factor. I had a game plan going in against this particular guy because I knew his strengths and weaknesses because I had watched every single play that he had played all season long. Good games, bad games, things he did well, things I wanted to stay away from. And I had an understanding of the game. Tom Brady does that with corners, safeties. Think about it. Corners, safeties, defensive linemen, defensive ends. And he processes all that information, watching every single position on the field on a guy's strengths and weaknesses. He's not going to throw the ball to Deion's side of the field. Why would he play the averages? He's not going to throw the ball over to Darrelle Revis' side of the football field. Why would he? He's going to find the weakest link on the football field, and he's going to attack that guy. And I'm going to tell you something about your Eagle defense. Do you know who you attack on the Eagle defense? The new guys. Attack James Bradbury. You really think fundamentally he knows what's being asked of him in the Jonathan Gannon defense? Fletcher Cox didn't last year. But all of a sudden, you think James Bradbury is some savant? He's going to step into the Philadelphia Eagle defense, and he's going to understand immediately all the nuances to play in that soft coverage that they played last year, or if they're going to play press coverage this year, something they did in a year ago. Brady's going to find the weakest link. Jimmy Johnson told me this. This is the philosophy of Bill Belichick and how he attacked teams. He's not going to go like this. Well, we run the ball, that's our strength. Or we pass the ball, or we hit the tight end, that's our strength. That's why if you notice the Belichick team every week, they were like chameleons. 1 week they'd run it. 1 week they hit the tight end. Another week they would go to wide receivers. And every week they were different. So you couldn't really game plan a Patriot team with Brady. That's what made them so difficult to game plan against. You didn't know what they were going to do, but they had versatility on Their roster, same kind of thing that the Eagles have. They have a lot of versatility on that. Is Gannon a savant enough of a defensive-minded guy to be able to utilize all the pieces he has? I don't know that. Are they going to get all the proper coaching? But Parcells and Belichick told Jimmy Johnson this. Dude, they don't – like, watch this. Do you know how they would game plan the Philadelphia Eagles? Say the Patriots with Brady. How do you think Belichick would game plan the Eagles? What would be the game plan? They would go after the weakest guy on the defense. And who do you think the weakest guy is on the defense? Safeties. The new linebackers. It's not because they're not good. It's because they're new. New guys and rookies. How many times do you see Brady attack that? Corner goes down, he goes there. He's not going to go against Jalen Ramsey. Why would he? Why would he threaten Jalen Ramsey and play 50-50 football with Jalen Ramsey? Why would he? He plays percentages. But because he knows the game and he sees the game, he knows where to go with the game. Jalen's got to figure out just being accurate first. Okay? I mean, when I attack the Eagles, I'm attacking James Bradberry. Everyone says, well, he's really a great player 2 years ago when he was with the – okay. Got into a contract squabble with the new general manager. They didn't want to pay him. They let him walk, and he's in the division. That's not cool for the Giants, great for the Eagles. Still, he's a new guy. You attack new guys, not because they're bad, because he's a new guy. Me personally, with this offense of talent, if Hurts doesn't throw for 4K 30 touchdowns, he won't be the quarterback. Throwing for 30 touchdowns and 4K, man, you're asking an awful lot of a kid who threw, and I please thank you, Flex, who threw for 3,100 yards and 16 touchdowns. Man, that's a massive increase. 14 touchdown passes. Okay. 1,000 yards in reception, 1,000 yards in passing yards. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay? I mean, you really, if you're attacking the Eagle D, hey, get this too. Even A.J. Brown's got the advantages because he's on offense. A.J.'s learning the Eagle offense as well. Look at how many people are still learning the Eagle offense. Devontae. It's funny, people keep saying that the Eagles are in their second year of the same offense. No, you're not. You're not in the second year of the same offense. You're in the second year of the same coaching staff, you mean. Stop saying same offense. Because that's not the offense that they want, that they ran in the second half. So it's going to be, Jalen Hurts is going to have a new offense this year for the third straight year. Why are you saying he's having the same offense? Now, you mean the same coaches, okay? Fair. But Jalen Hurts doesn't have the same offense. It's not. Where are you getting that from? There were two completely different offenses last year. And I don't want the one that they won all their games with. Isn't that crazy? I want the one that they were 2-5 in. Let me hit more on that here. I got to get the flex. The talent upgrade around him, I don't care if we're asking a lot this. The NFL, either you're the guy or you're not. Burrow, it took 4 games and we knew it. Flex, you're dead on. But isn't it crazy? John, it's not the same system. John, it's not the same system. When they were 2-5, they were throwing the ball. When they finished the season and won games, they ran it. They were 27th in passing. What same system? You know what's crazy, John? The Eagles want the system that failed last year more than they want the system that won for them last year. Try to swallow that. They want that system that they started the season out with. More successful. With the addition of A.J. Brown. with the next year of Devontae Smith. They want that system, not the one they finished the year with and one game with. Okay? Eagles have never really had a prolific passing game. Let's be honest. Chief, you're right. Well, I would say the TO year. Chief, I would say the TO year, you guys had a prolific offense. The guy did have 1,400 yards in 12 games or some shit. Dude, he had a great year that year. Okay? Yeah, okay, Luscious, if you want to call it that, I say same coaches, a different system. I don't think it's the same. I think it's different. I think it's the same coaches. That's the only thing that's going to look the same from a year ago, in my opinion. Brian says, hey, Dan, what scares me is A.J. Brown is not a top 10 wide receiver. Should I be – Brian, you mean that A.J. Brown is not a top 10 wide receiver in statistics? A.J. Brown on third down, in my opinion, he's a beast. Red zone touchdown passes, he's a beast. Jump balls and short yardage, I'm taking him 9 times out of 10. He's going to be effective in your red zone. The Eagles were good last year, going 20-20 in the second half of the year. And once you got down in the red zone, Jalen was not proficient enough as a passer yet to be balanced in that. The red zone, that's a tough place to score. Because always remember something. There's another defender on the field. You're playing against 12 defenders. See, people don't understand why the red zone's so difficult. You're playing against 12 people. Can somebody tell me what the 12th man is out there? Do you know what the 12th man is when you're inside the red zone? Do you have an idea what I'm talking about when I say there's a 12th man? You're playing against 12 people when you're in a red zone. See, this is common sense here that a lot of people don't realize. That's right, John. You're playing against the back line. You're limited in your playbook on what you can throw at defenses because you're playing against a 12th man. The boundaries, that's correct, guys. You got it. Not the ref. Luscious. You're playing against a limited passing area. Flex says, if we had Joe Burrow or Herbert, the convo would be, how many Super Bowls can we win in 5 years? Not can we win a division. It's an insult to Hurts. Well, Flex, Hurts is not in Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert's league. They're still figuring out if he's an NFL quarterback or not. Those two guys are solid. Hey, and by the way, Flex, let me say this to you. Flex, you know what the next conversation is on Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert? Whether or not you're going to pay him $450 million or $500 million. Not whether or not he's a starting quarterback in 2023. Those two guys are going to be talking about $500 million deals, their next conversation with their team. The next conversation that Jalen has with his team is going to be whether or not they believe in him and buy into him, and they don't go into the 2023 draft trying to draft a quarterback. Those guys' futures are already set. Joe Burrow's going to command $500 million and north of that, maybe. Jalen Hurts has got to have a conversation whether or not he's the guy moving forward. Hurts is in a prove-it year. Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow are not. They're not in a prove-it year. They're not. Sidelines, too, a little bit there, Dylan. I'd say that. Sideline, backline. Red zone's difficult because your playbook shrinks. I don't think people understand, too, also. You got to remember something, and why I'm always telling you guys about why Jalen has to be third and short on third down if he wants to have a successful season and throw for 4,200 yards this year. How many times do you watch Tom Brady 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4? His playbook is wide open. When you're 3rd and 9 the entire time, 17% of the time you'll complete the third down pass for first down. Do you know that? If you're 3rd and 4, there's a 37% chance that you're going to complete the pass for first down. The closer you are to first down on third down, the more your percentages rise. If you're 3rd and 2, you got an 80% chance of completing a first down. If you're 3rd and 5, you got a 50%. If you're 3rd and 7 to 9, you got a 17% chance of complete. These are all stats that used to be given to defensive guys on what teams did, and they're called trends. We would always try to keep a certain team. Now, look, when you got Patrick Mahomes, those stats are a little bit jaded because you know why? That guy, no lead is safe. Man, that guy could be up or down 21 points. You got to play that guy 60 minutes of ball because he's there. Stats don't matter with a dude like that. He's just a freak show. Same thing with Josh Allen. There's certain guys that those stats don't mind, you know, and you're just like, shit, man. Yeah, okay. Hey, Dan, man to man, is the NFL like WWE? No, it's not rigged. We don't know the ending. Okay? Who the hell called the Eagles racist? NFL doesn't. Nobody cares about black or white. You know what they care about? Winning. Who gives a shit what color your quarterback is? Okay? Who cares? Dude, here's what I'll always tell you. You don't really think that coaches have a board up that says, here's my black players, here's my white players. Let's make sure we have equal white and black players. If that's the case, please let me know, because I would not want to be or covering anything like that. I tell you, one of the greatest things about pro football and football in general, you've got so much diversity in it that black and white never affected me. Was there times when I was the only white guy on the D-line? Yeah. But I never looked at it like that. Never affected me ever. Ever. So I'm a bad example of that. I got a picture when I played in the World League. Every D lineman was black except me. And they all look over and they go, Sileo, Jerome's right, man. White guys don't run that fast. Those Italian guys, you got to be a brother. Funny, man. Hey, listen. We are going to hit on my top 10 NFL teams. I took this from USA Today. They had a different top 5. I have a top, well, they had a different, they did all 32 teams. I'm not doing all 32 teams. I got a top 10. The Big Sills Power Rankings top 10. I want to do that. Please hit the like button. I love Football Fridays, man. Next week, we got Jets too. Holy cow. It's football week next week, right? Actually, it was football week here. We'll talk a little bit about, by the way, we didn't hit on Doug Peterson last night in his Jaguars, and also Josh McDaniel in the Raiders last night in the Hall of Fame game. I want to hit on that a little bit as well. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
The glass is for cocktails, right?
It's for this, this, and that.
Is the length of the glass equal to your...
You betcha.
But is it made out of...
Glass?
Yeah, okay, but is the rib...
Smooth?
Will you stop doing...
That?
I'm the professional here.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of stateside vodka. All from the company that's highly awarded. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and deliciously tasting vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Welcome back, National Football Show. It's your boy, Big Sills. I want to show you guys something, and Xander, you're going to love this, and everyone else is as well. Ready? Just to show you the kind of – by the way, I'm not a reporter, so don't ever get that confused. But my relationship with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers – was so bad, they helped get me fired in Tampa. I said something stupid on the air. Man, they just blew that thing out. It was a way to get me out of the building, even though I was killing it in ratings. And they've tried everything they can do to hurt my reputation and my name and all that. And they've done a pretty good job of it. However, I want to show you what hard work and being fair and having a guy like Bruce Arians in the building and having someone like that speak for me. Derek Brooks spoke for me. I've spoken to Joel and Brian Glazer. I want to show you guys something. Please hit the like button, guys. Thank you very much, Sydney. So I got this today. I've been invited. Look at this. You're invited. Okay, I got an email today from the Buccaneers. Let me read it to you. Dear Dan, we've received your RSVP for Legends Day. Oh, I'm a Buccaneer legend? Okay. To see Tom Brady and the rest of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as we prepare for the season, please see below for some helpful reminders before getting to open practice at the Advent Health Training Center. Hotel accommodations and airfare have been provided. Please let us know if you need anything. Sincerely, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs want me to come down, and I think there's like 20 of us. They want me to come down and talk to Tom Brady. But the Eagles, on the other hand, pass out press credentials like you're passing out Willy Wonka's golden tickets. Think of that. You can't go and watch Eagle practice to cover it like a true reporter unless you're a guy who is going to only talk kindly about the GM, the coach, or the team. And you know what? For that matter, right now on August 5th, there's no reason to talk shit on the team. They're really not. I mean, they're not doing anything wrong. They've actually had a really good offseason. Okay, so there's, to sit around and bang on them and just, but the conversation that I have about Jalen Hurts and stuff. Oh my God, it's not going to go over. Are you kidding me? That's not going to roll. So, I mean, I hear people who are some of the most respected guys in Philadelphia media can't get passes because they may have written a story or said something that pissed them off. Can you imagine that? A professional football team is controlling the narrative of how you look at them by handing out press credentials. Wow. Fair and balanced coverage, when it comes to that team, you'll never get it. Unless you come to JAKIB. Then you'll get it. For the Bucs to do that, they know me. If I see something stupid, I'm not going to – I'm smarter today on it. I'm not going to blast them like I used to. I learned not to be personal. Okay? I don't do that. You're learning, Sills? God, I hope. Yeah. Okay? God, I hope. Sills, are you going? Yeah. Like Xander says, yeah, I don't know. They did invite my kid and my wife down. Sills, what, bring your wife and kid down? Tom Brady wants to meet you. It's like when I was getting recruited by Syracuse. I may have told you this story before. I was recruited by Syracuse, right? This guy, Norm Gerber, I think it was for Dick McPherson, who was the head coach at Syracuse at the time. And Syracuse used to recruit our area really heavily, right? Boston College and Syracuse, they came down. Guy sat in my driveway. And I was a linebacker / defensive end. You know who broke my I don't think I've ever told Xander any of this. You know who broke my sack records in Fairfield County? Dwight Freeney. My sophomore year, I had 28 sacks. My junior year, I had like 19. And my senior year, I think I had 20-something. I just killed guys. And you know who I was playing quarterback? I was playing against who was a quarterback was Steve Young. Steve Young played in my conference, and I used to kill him when I could catch him. And so, and so those guys were just, oh, my God, man. So this guy, Dick McPherson, comes down, and he's recruiting me, and then all of a sudden, Norm Gerber recruits me. He goes like this, hey, we'll even give you number 44. And I went like this, man, come on. I go, Norm, that's Jim Brown's number. You ain't giving me Jim Brown's number to come to Syracuse. And he goes like this, well, if you want it, you can wear it. I go, dude, how many guys have you offered number 44 to? And Norm Gerber looked me right in the face and he goes, all right, 21. And I was like, okay, you're still on my list then. You're at least being honest. The guy was going to go, you could wear 44 at Syracuse. I'm like, man, you ain't giving me Jim Brown's number, man. Yeah, man. That ain't happening. Jake says, I'm an Eagle fan. I like Hurts. I don't think he has the complete talent to be a franchise quarterback. I'm rooting for him, and I hope I'm wrong. But I won't believe it until I see it. Why is that so wrong? Jake, don't give an honest assessment of what you're thinking. People hate that. Jake, you're right. That's mine. Jake, I agree with you. It's not wrong. Jake, I'm with you. Watch this. Jake, I'll put my name in it. Hey, Dan Sileo here as an Eagle fan. I like Jalen Hurts. I don't think he has the complete talent to be a franchise quarterback. I'm rooting for him. I hope I'm wrong, but I won't believe it until I see it. What's so wrong about that? Signed Dan Sileo. I completely agree. I don't believe there's anybody in here, or I don't believe there's anybody that is rooting against that guy. There's no one. Okay? Nobody's rooting against any. Why would we be rooting for a shitty season? Got it right here, Daz. Brian. Got it right here. Glad you brought it up. And guys, you reminded me. So USA Today had the Philadelphia Eagles ranked 9th in the NFL and 4th in the NFC. I'm not doing all 32 teams. I don't want to talk about teams at the bottom of the pile, okay? I don't. So I'm going to talk about the 10 best teams in the National Football League. I probably should have talked about the top 12 teams, okay? I probably should have did that, but I'm going to go 10, okay? Here are my Big Sills power rankings in lieu of what we saw with USA Today's rankings for the power rankings. Here's who I think are the 10 best football teams in the NFL as now we are in training camp. At number 10, the AFC's Indianapolis Colts. Got a great running attack. I think what you have on defense is outstanding. I think their front seven is good. The addition of Matt Ryan will settle that position down a little bit. Plus, you have Jonathan Taylor, who gained 1,810 yards. You have Michael Pittman, who I think is a heck of a football player. They ended up upgrading the position of wide receiver as well. I mean, Carson Wentz did not play bad last year. 3,700 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 94 quarterback rating. They're just in a very packed AFC. And do I think that they could be in the mix potentially to make a move? It all really going to come down to Matt Ryan and his play. Okay? I really think that the Colts have a pretty good roster. And they're a pretty dominant at the point of attack football team. I like them. This is where I had the Eagles when I made the pre-training camp Power 10 Big Sills top teams in the NFL. I still think the Eagles are 9th. I think, here's what I'm going to say to you about the NFC's Eagles, and I got them ranked 9th also. Would it be fair to say that there's 2 rosters in the NFL that you would say are pretty complete? The only issue is the difference is at quarterback. I think the Buffalo Bills have the best roster in the NFL. But I think the deepest roster in the NFL is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I think the Eagles have the deepest roster. I think they could overcome even the quarterback going down, putting Gardner Minshew in. I think it could still win 9 games. Because get this, the difference between Gardner Minshew quarterbacking the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, in my eyes, is this. I think Jalen can win 11, 12 games. I think Gardner Minshew can win 9 or 10 games. I don't think there's that much of a difference. But when you're starting to talk the difference between 9 to 12 games, man, those are starting to become elite teams. I think the jump is higher. But I think Gardner Minshew could win 9 to 10 ball games. And I think Jalen Hurts can win 11 to 12 games. So I still think that they would be successful. I think you have the best substitute teacher next to Nick Foles in Indianapolis. I think that's also an advantage for Indy, is having Nick Foles there with Frank Reich again. So I say Bills and Eagles have the best rosters, and I say the Eagles are the deepest roster. At number 8, I got the Chargers here at number 8. Justin Herbert, the addition of Khalil Mack. Then you have Joey Bosa on the other side. Then you have a healthy Derwin James. You added more uptake in the secondary as well. Plus you re-signed Mike Williams. You got Keenan Allen. You got Eckler back there in the backfield, who's a great versatile back. Can run in between the tackles, catch the football. I'll tell you what, if that Charger team doesn't do shit this year, you're firing that coach. And if I was Sean Payton, boy, I'd like that job. Justin Herbert and all that talent there, he's in Los Angeles. I would not want the Cowboy job. Justin Herbert versus Dak Prescott. What job would you want? Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, that defense on the other side of the football. Come on, man. I'm not going to Dallas if that Charger job is open. I would never do that. Number 7, this is all going to be a health issue here. I got the Ravens here. God, the Ravens are such a great organization. They are always competing for greatness every year. Steve Biscotti, the owner, man, he goes from Ozzie Newsome to DeCastro, and those guys had a great draft, great offseason. They let Hollywood Brown go. I get it. They're going to have to make that more inviting for wide receivers to want to play in Baltimore. But if Lamar Jackson is healthy, shit, man, he's a machine. And plus, he's playing for a contract. And he also wants $46.1 million. Man, Baltimore is such a good team. They're so well run. Number 6, I got the Chiefs. You know, let me ask you something here. Do you think that the Titans are going to struggle not having A.J. Brown in the huddle in Tennessee? You think they struggle? I don't think they struggle, but I don't think they're going to be as prolific as they could be with A.J. Brown. How do you think Kansas City's going to be without Tyreek Hill? You know, the Chiefs, you would make the argument a couple of years ago that they were one of the top 2 teams in the NFL. Now I look at them and they're slowly declining under Andy Reid. They're kind of like losing talent. You know, when they lost Kareem Hunt, they lost 17% of their offensive output because of his ability to run the ball and to catch the ball out of the backfield. Kareem Hunt was a machine in Kansas City. They have not replaced that player. The loss of Tyreek Hill now and the inability to be able to replace a Kareem Hunt, in my opinion, I think that offense is starting to walk backwards, even though you've got the greatness of Patrick Mahomes there. I think, you know what? I think they're trending down. Could fool me, and I could be completely wrong here on this. But I look at the Chiefs and I go like this now. I don't know. They're still the 6th best team, in my opinion. Number 5, now we're starting to get into the top 5 here. Big Seal's power rankings, now that we're in camp. I got the Packers here. How many people think that the loss of Davante Adams is going to be a significant blow to the Packers? I'm going to tell you why I don't think it is. You're in the NFC. If the Packers and Aaron Rodgers were in a very tight division, say like the AFC West, that is a difference maker. But when you're in the NFC North, and the only team you got to concern yourself with is the Vikings, you're not going to concern yourself with the Lions or the Bears. You're not going to concern yourself with pretty much anybody else that you're going to have on your schedule because there's not a lot of prolific teams in the NFC outside of Bucks, Rams, and those teams. So I don't think that that's going to be as much of an issue for Aaron Rodgers as it would if he was in the AFC. Okay? I just don't. I think they're going to be a contender. Number 4, I got the Bengals. Improved O-line, improved Joe Burrow. Here is the one thing that if I were Joe Burrow, let me say this to you. You know how Joe Burrow's not going to be? There's 2 reasons Joe Burrow may not want to finish his career, okay, in Cincinnati. 2 reasons. Ready? Money, and you can't protect me. You cannot give up 70 sacks. They have replaced 3 guys in the offensive line, okay? They have revamped the entire O-line. A lot of new faces. Okay, you got a lot of skilled guys that are exceptional. Okay? Brian says this, hey, Dan, 42 years on this earth, 94 WIP, and the fanatic can't carry your jock. Brian, thank you. Thank you. That's kind. I don't think so either. I like Angelo, dude. And by the way, I liked Mike Missinelli too. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. That's a compliment. By the way, Brian, I'm starting to like your Eagles more, but I have fallen in love with the Eagle fan base. Does that make sense? I like the fan base. more than I like the team. I don't know if you guys like that or not. I just like the fan base. I like the people. Crazy, huh? I would lie to you if I told you that I was an Eagle fan. I would be lying. But I really like you guys because I like how you guys fight for your team, stick up for your team. You're loyal to the soil. Give me shit about it. You know, you've watched every game. You guys watch games from last year. Okay? That's to me. When someone goes, Silio's pretending to be an Eagle fan, I never said I was. But I do love the fan base. That I won't lie. That I won't lie. Hey, dude, Yale. I never thought how cool they look. I won't lie to you. I was talking in Boston, and Patriot fans, they got a lot of similarities, you guys. They hate anybody from outside coming in and talking shit. Okay. They hate. You know what's funny? Xander said something to me today. Big Sills, man, you're really doing great. You know, then he goes like this, you know, usually when outsiders, and I was like, interesting. That's how Xander sees people too. Just like the rest of you. Outsiders coming in to talk about his teams, got to kind of be around the room a little bit. You know what I mean? Like a PD from Phoenix taking over a Philly sports station. Okay. I bet that's going over well. Some guy that plants cactuses is going to tell you how the people in Philly react. Okay. Oh, man. That I'll never get. And I'll never get that. No. I don't even want to say that because it's really good. Loyal to the soil, man. Those Patriot fans are pretty good though too, man. They love that. They love that stuff up there too. Jesus Christ, Xander's looking to kill somebody right now. Let me go up here. Number 4, Bengals. Okay, I got to do this, man. Improved O-line, I said it. I really like Joe Burrow, man. I think a lot of him. I got the Bucs at 3. The USA Today guys have him farther down. I think it's got a lot to do with the Ryan Jensen injury. You know what? It is a significant injury too. When you lose your center, like I'll say this to you, the number one crippling move that would really hurt the Eagles' chances of really being good this year, don't lose Jason Kelce. Don't lose Jason Kelce. Knock on wood. Okay? Don't lose that guy. Don't lose that dude. And losing Ryan Jensen, okay, is a huge deal for the Buccaneers. Here are my top 2 teams. I have it different. USA Today has it flipped. I have the Rams too. I think the addition of Bobby Wagner coming over, I think it's a big deal. He's a Hall of Fame linebacker, and he's still got juice in the tank. Okay? He still has juice in the tank. And how about the way that Les Snead and Kevin Demoff and Stan Kroenke run that team, man? They're going to be right there again. Now, there's something significant with Matthew Stafford. He's got like pitching elbow or something, and Sean McVay's kind of concerned. That could help the Eagles. By the way, nobody here is rooting for injuries. But if Matthew Stafford's injured, watch this. Hey, it's football, dog. That helps the Philadelphia Eagles out. That helps the Eagles. If Stafford can't play, I'll take it. I think the best team in the league this year, I think it's the Bills. I think the job that then they add Von Miller too. I think the Bills have the best roster. And by the way, former Eagle assistant Sean McDermott, dude, he's a hell of a football coach. Okay? I mean, he has turned out to be and he's a defensive-minded guy too. You know what I mean? So he's a defensive-minded guy. So here's my top 10 again. I got Colts at 10. Eagles at 9. 4th best team, by the way, in the NFC. I got the Chargers at 8. I got the Ravens at 7. Chiefs at 6. Packers at 5. Bengals at 4. And I got the Buccaneers 3 and the Rams 2 and the Bills number 1. Tell you what, man, from where the Eagles have come since that 4-11-1 to where they are right now, it's pretty remarkable, to say the least. Hey, tonight, Dick Vermeil gets his gold jacket. Then he's inducted on Saturday. I love watching those induction speeches for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Less than 340 men of the 1%ers of the world are going into the Hall of Fame. What a great honor that is, and I'll be watching every second of that. Then we have Jets Week next week. Guys, I love it, man. I appreciate you guys, man. We had a huge week. Please, if you go back and watch any of the show, make sure you tell everybody. We had Rich McKay on, the chairman of the competition committee of the National Football League, third most powerful man in the league. We had him on in the first hour, our friend Lord Brunson, who was just great in hour number 2. And all of you, we really appreciate it. Xander, thank you so much. You guys have a blessed weekend. We'll see you on Monday going 3 to 6 Eastern, and we'll catch you on the flip side.